show starts when the man says pow. Dan who, Brandon, man so handsome. Want Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. Makes you wanna buy toys so you hate to watch. It's on a Thursday, it can change like that though. Got no money left cause I gave it all to Hasbro. Enjoy the show. Haha. Okay. Dan who? Wanna talk some toys? Let's start now. You know the show starts when the man says pow. Dan who? Brandon, man so handsome. Want Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. Makes you wanna buy toys so you hate to watch. It's on a Thursday, it can change like that though. Got no money left cause I gave it all to Hasbro. Enjoy the show. Haha. Okay. Dan who? Wanna talk some toys? Let's start now. You know the show starts when the man says pow. Dan who? Brandon, man so handsome. Want Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. Makes you wanna buy toys so you hate to watch. It's on a Thursday, it can change like that though. Got no money left cause I gave it all to Hasbro. Enjoy the show. Haha. Okay. Dan who? Wanna talk some toys? Let's start now. You know the show starts when the man says pow. Dan who? Brandon, man so handsome. Want Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. Makes you wanna buy toys so you hate to watch. It's on a Thursday, it can change like that though. Got no money left cause I gave it all to Hasbro. Enjoy the show. Haha. Okay. Dan who? Wanna talk some toys? Let's start now. You know the show starts when the man says pow. Dan who? Brandon, man so handsome. Want Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. Makes you wanna buy toys so you hate to watch. It's on a Thursday, it can change like that though. Got no money left cause I gave it all to Hasbro. Enjoy the show. Haha. Okay. Dan who? Wanna talk some toys? Let's start now. You know the show starts when the man says pow. Dan who? Brandon, man so handsome. Want Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. Makes you wanna buy toys so you hate to watch. It's on a Thursday, it can change like that though. Got no money left cause I gave it all to Hasbro. Enjoy the show. Haha. Okay. Dan. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram, and I've been saving my voice all day for this moment because I've got Frogman literally stuck in my throat right now, but I'll be fine. I will survive for the very last show, which is a joyous occasion, but then a sad occasion all at the same time, because we are finally doing a topic I never thought we would. Top 20 Marvel Legends ever. Now, I should preface this by saying top 20 comic Marvel Legends, but deluxes, Build-A-Figures, HasLabs are all involved as long as it's a comic based Marvel Legend, okay? That's what we're going to get into. But you know how these things work. I cannot do it on my own. And this makes me sad, people, but for the very, very last time as a regular co-host on the Dan Who live stream each and every Thursday for 125 weeks in a row, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's Hero.Collections and Rich M. Brandon, Frogman, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you.
Crying. Oh. Okay. Pass the tissues.
Eugene will stay in and forever stay in your try and fill that presence. But we'll always have Eugene. He'll never leave the Who crew. He's there forever. Him and Hank. They go into the shadows together, into the sunset.
Oh no! Wait. I can't show that yet. Wait, I don't want to spoil that. Okay, wait. There we go. Best friends for life.
There you go. Rich, how are you feeling? You feeling better?
I want to cry so bad, Dan, but I can't spare the moisture, so there you go.
No, yeah. Literally, it's going around virtually now. I went to Toy Fair earlier in the week, and I think I've caught it because I'm not feeling great. It's genuinely, it's like a big lump in my throat. So instead of the Koppelberg today, I wanted to celebrate today and have a great time because I'm still off work for a week. It's my birthday next week. But instead I'm sat here with a glass of water. So we'll make the most of it.
Same. Water for everyone.
Water. Shout out to D Amazing. Drink the water, people. Anyway, as I was saying, today we are doing the top 20 Marvel Legends ever. Now, this is usually a topic I would avoid because it's so... it's impossible to sort of narrow it down to a list where everybody would agree. But that's the magic about this hobby and Marvel Legends in general. Everyone has their favourites for their own reasons. So even me, Rich and Brandon couldn't come up with a combined top 20 between us. Honestly, we jumped in a Zoom call and we nearly all fell out. It was ridiculous. So we had to make some big...
This is why Brandon's leaving.
Yeah, literally. But we had to make some big compromises. Rich especially. He's not happy Jubilee's not in the list. Spoiler alert. Sorry, everyone. But we tried to do it in our own way, as in regards to how good the figure is. We're trying to celebrate innovation as well as character selection and I don't know. You'll see when we get into it and we'll explain as we go through. But we do not, and I know Rich hates me saying this, but I do not expect anyone to agree with us. This is just a little bit of fun. Marvel Legends is my favourite toy line, and tomorrow I could pick a different 20. Do you know what I mean? So this is today's 20 on this day, just to see what you guys think. But it is a fun topic, and it does incite some great conversation, and that's hopefully what we'll do today. So we're going to get straight into the main topic today after I've done the housekeeping, and then we're going to end the show with just talking some gibberish. But as always, Mark Tac, thank you very much.
GAKTAK Toys with Phil donated £4.49. Random fact, I found out Jonathan Ross has a HasLab Sentinel. Hi Dan, Brandon and Rich M.
Oh, that's good to know. To be fair, Jonathan Ross is on Toy Shop on Tour, isn't he? I need to watch that. That does actually intrigue me. But he says, fun fact, I found out Jonathan Ross has a HasLab Sentinel. Hi Dan, Brandon and Rich. Well, thank you very much, Mark Tac, and thank you for confirming Friday works. Let me do the housekeeping quick, and as I said, we're going to get into our main topic straight away this evening. So first things first, support all the channels on the Dan Who Network. Brandon may be leaving, but unfortunately for you, I'm not going anywhere. So you'll see me on Legend of Liquor. We return on the 15th of January. Become a channel member. Let me know you want to get involved, and we'll talk about all things 2023 on the next show. Me and Tanner just did a Turtles and Tea on Tuesday, recapping our top 10 favourite turtle-related figures of 2022. So if you want to see that, go and check that out on the channel right now. The replay crew, and then tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, me, Tom, and Mark Tac, who just super chatted. I appreciate you, Mark. We'll be talking top 10 classified figures of the year. Okay, it's that time of year. Lots of top 10s, but I love this time of year, so I'm not complaining, not apologising for it either. So there we go. There's that. And just like Mark has already done, if you want to contribute to today's show, please do anything over £4 or $4. Friday, we'll read it out loud. Forever be a part of the show for the replay crew. We appreciate you. And again, the Streamlabs donation link in the description works exactly the same as Friday. It's just YouTube don't gobble up all those pennies. So we appreciate it. And of course, hit that join button. All that good stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right. As I said, top 20 Marvel Legends. Now, do we want to say anything before we start getting into this? We do have an honourable mention each. Do you all remember what your honourable mention is? Oh, he's muted himself. Okay.
My bad. I was just looking through the chat, trying to find what our honourable mentions were, but I remembered mine. But I can't remember your guys'.
Okay. Well, I'll start. Okay. So as I said, people, we're going to be talking to the chat. We're going to be literally just freestyling the last hour of the show. But I thought, considering today's topic is a big one, let's not wait around any longer and let's just get into it, okay? So first off, we've all got an honourable mention each. So my honourable mention is Deadpool. Okay, Deadpool has not made our top 20, but I feel like the character himself deserves a little bit of love. Now, my favourite Marvel Legend Deadpool is the one... Is it from the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure wave? Am I getting that right? Does anyone remember which wave it's from?
So,
the Sasquatch.
It depends which one. So if it's the Juggernaut wave one, that's the Bucky Cat body. If it's the Sasquatch wave one, then that's the one with the Bucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I forgot how easy it was to get on my shelf, but here he is. Okay. So firstly, Deadpool has always been a sought-after character within the Marvel Legends line. Okay. Shout out Christopher Allen, channel members club, much appreciated, Christopher. You know you're always welcome. So as I was saying, Deadpool. Series 6, Toy Biz Deadpool was such a sought-after Marvel Legend. He came with Dupe. It's the only time you've ever got Dupe in the 20 years of Legends. It was just a sought-after Marvel Legend. That Series 6 was a great rave entirely. Then Marvel Legends started to make a comeback. Epic Heroes started to make a return on the card backs. Now, there was a grey version and a red version, which was basically a European exclusive, basically. It didn't really get... The distribution was a mess, basically, when Marvel Legends started to return. So this guy was very sought-after. Not this particular figure, but this character was. And then we're talking about the version you guys have just mentioned, which again was the did you say Apocalypse Wave version? I should have had Juggernaut. No, it's Juggernaut. I should have had these notes. It's an honourable mention, so I didn't write any notes. Okay, I thought I'd go freestyle, but as you can tell, lots of Deadpools. I should have written notes. Great start, Dan. Great start. Good job, everyone. Right, okay, but this is the one. This is my favourite. Okay, this is the more articulated version. He's been released twice. He's been released multiple times if you count different colours. He was on the only X-Force card back as well, where he's got a little bit more of a metallic shine. But I think out of all the Deadpool figures, this is my personal favourite, okay? So if I had to pick one of them, it would be this guy. But I thought Deadpool needed some love. So here's my honourable mention, okay? In our top 20. Not quite making the list. Maybe tomorrow he would, but today he didn't. Deadpool's my honourable mention. Rich, I'll throw it to you.
So my honourable mention is from when Marvel Legends got good. It is from the return of Marvel Legends, the Oliver Coppel sculpted version of Thor. So this is when Hasbro had the license. When the first couple of waves Hasbro did weren't the greatest, but they took some time, revamped it all, and then with the return of Marvel Legends, with an STC exclusive Thor first of all, and then followed with the Terrax Build-A-Figure wave. I think that was like the first full wave.
Epic
then,
Hero,
that's when I think Marvel Legends, to me anyway, really like hit the mark. Like, I mean, I've said before, the Toy Biz era is not my favorite. Again, as a female Marvel Legend collector, surprise, there's going to be no Toy Biz females on this list because they're all dog shit. But basically, I think it's when Hasbro got the license. I think in that wave is when they stepped it up a bit. And then obviously then onto like the Spider-Man Guardians of the Galaxy wave with the Build-A-Figures. That's when it like really hit. But for me, that's where it started turning around with Marvel Legends, and I started paying more attention to the line, and I started going all in on stuff from that wave on. So for me, that is why that Thor is my pick, because I think it's a great looking figure. It shows much better sculpting from Hasbro from what they've done before, and it looked like the comic books, which was something that I don't think Marvel Legends had done before. They'd always been like their own type of thing, and it was like that looked like it came straight out of the comic books. And as a comic book guy, that's why I picked that one.
Still holds up as well. But like you said, that time frame in Marvel Legends was really important, because that was when Hasbro started to take it a little bit more seriously. I think that's when the movie started to get good as well around that time. And I think the first Avengers film came out that same year as Epic Heroes, and they started to ramp things up. So yeah, I agree. Shout out for honourable mention. Brandon, your honourable mention?
I was just trying to reach for one, but I realized if I did, then most of my villain shelf would
raining. It would literally raining men.
Oh, yeah, literally. But for me, my honorable mention is the Joe Fixit Wave 2020 Kang. I love that figure. I think it is the definitive version of Kang. He comes with a couple of hands and his gun, big gun weapon. Yeah, I think that the color scheme looks great on him. He's fully pinless, double jointed knees, I believe. I can't remember if the arms are double jointed or not. The elbow, they might be.
They're
like
single jointed.
Yeah, single joint because of the sculpt. But I just love him. I have about 4 or 5 of these on the shelf, hidden in different places. There's like a whole council of
Variants.
things.
Nice.
And yeah, I think that one is just it's very rare that we get that one hit wonder for a character the first time around, that we properly get them in Legends form. And I know he did have a release maybe in the dark days of Hasbro Marvel Legends, but in the modern era at least, that was like one, and they could easily have done that one time and that be just the best version of ever.
I'm sure we'll be seeing more Kang as well when it comes to the future of Legends for sure. Figures and Vinyl, aka Stu in the chat, said, thanks Brandon, good luck for times ahead. We will be celebrating all things Brandon towards the end of the stream, people. Don't you worry. Okay, that was honourable mentions. Again, I didn't prepare anything for that. I just thought, and Ted's barking, that's a good one. So let's get into top 20 now. Let's do it properly, okay? Amanda's just walked through the door. Great timing, Amanda, as always. She's just here to sabotage the show. That's all show life is. Sabotage the bloody show. Right, let's get into this. This is...
She wants the co-host job from next week. That's what she wants.
Clearly. She's not having it. Right, okay, top 20. So again, let me preface this by saying this is just our list on this day. You don't have to agree with us. Just a little bit of fun, something to incite conversation and to celebrate the line of Marvel Legends, okay? And Curtis in the chat as well. I'm at the in-laws, so I'll catch you on the replay. Curtis, we will see you on the replay, my friend. You try and have some fun at the in-laws there. Right, okay, top 20. As you can see, Captain America, the 20th anniversary Captain America. Now, I just think it is a bit symbolic that when in the 20 years of Marvel Legends, in our top 20 of Marvel Legends, we celebrate with this tribute of the very first wave of Marvel Legends with Captain America. As for me, this is the current best Marvel Legends Captain America we have available. When you account for everything he comes with accessories, he's on the blister card, which is a beautiful tribute to that first line. And I don't think anyone out there still really thinks that first wave Captain America is better than this one. Really? No, I don't think so. Now, is this perfect? By no means is it perfect. That's why it's at number 20. There's still improvement to be made on Captain America. We're talking pinless, more facial expressions, etc., etc. But it is still a solid representation of probably a tier hero of the Marvel Universe that is needed for any Marvel Legends collection. So yeah, I just thought it was fitting that as we celebrate 20 years of Marvel Legends, in our top 20 list, we have the 20th anniversary Captain America. Brandon?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's funny. I also feel like slightly nostalgic picking this figure up, like at the end of 2022. Considering this for us, I think in the UK came out in January, right?
January,
like,
yeah.
Like to think we've had this figure for a year already. I think I didn't mean that as like a dig or anything, but like
yeah, you did. You're on your way out now. You don't care anymore.
It's gonna piss everyone off before he leaves today.
Yeah. Like the paint scheme, I actually think the best thing about this figure was the head sculpts, because that's what really set it apart from the 80th cap. Because otherwise, it is essentially the same figure, but it has like what every top 20 figure should have, which is fun factor. You know, it just is like, okay, it might not be the latest and greatest in terms of the tech of pinless and double jointed this and that and the other, but like the fun factor here just never ends for me. So yeah, I completely agree. I think. This is a definitive cap right now, and I think it's it deserves its place on the list for sure.
Beautiful. Before I go to Rich, I will say this for Rich. I doubt very much if Rich was writing a list of top 20 Marvel Legends, he would have put any of these in this order. But Rich is being the good super producer that he is, and just he's along for the ride for Brandon's last show, okay? So humour me, Rich, as we go through these and point out anything you may like. But I'll make sure the audience know in advance. If it was your list, it probably wouldn't have been this order.
as Amigo like picked up on earlier, I have been crying all week because Brandon's leaving. That's why my voice is gone. So I've just got no fight left in me. So I've just gone, yeah, do we want? So basically, no, this is a really good figure, to be fair. This is definitely the best Captain America out there at the minute. And I think what I like about this line, especially with Cap and with Hulk as well, is it kind of harkens back to the days where Marvel Legends was it was your one and done. It was your definitive Captain America, your Spider-Man, your Iron Man. Like you look at the Toy Biz like series of Legends, there wasn't like 50 Wolverines. There was like one figure, one ultimate version of that figure. And I think for Cap, if you're a fan of Cap, you get everything in that one box. Like this is just a great representation of Cap. And I hope that's something, I think with the prices going up, that's something Marvel go back into, Hasbro go back into, of just giving us the best version they can of these characters. Now, obviously, the pinless technology, this is now probably 2 years' time, they can have a new ultimate version of this Cap, but it's still something I think they can do. I think everything is in this box, it's got a base, it's just really nostalgic, and it's a great figure as well, and a great way to kick off this top 20 list.
Like you said, next year we will be getting that Ultimate Cap, who has already got those advancements, I guess. So, yeah, it's inevitable. But Captain America had to make our list. He started it all. We're here celebrating 20 years, so let's put him at number 20. But we're well aware he's not quite there yet. And we're excited to see where Hasbro go. But let's keep going. Next up. Okay, I'm going to throw this one to Brandon. At number 19, a very, early, late entry, whatever you want to say. This figure came out months ago, and it has already jumped into our top 20 of Marvel Legends ever. Brandon leaving the show may have some influence in this pick, but I also do think we should be celebrating innovation, and this is probably the best example of the Vulcan body mold we have, which is the new normal for Marvel Legends, and definitely an upgrade to Bucky Cap. By the way, no Bucky Cap in this top 20 either. But Brandon, Brandon, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It is definitely. I think this may be one of, if not the most recently released figure on the list. But like you say, a well-deserved place on the list. I think that the Vulcan body is an amazing bit of innovation for the line. To think that we finally have a T'Challa that is not on the Bucky Cap after having gotten, I think, maybe 3 or 4 on the Bucky Cap over the years. To finally have one that has butterflies is amazing. I think, again, similar with Cap, the fun factor here is just indescribable. I love that we went for that classic sort of look with the half cape, all the right hands with the claws hands and the fisted hands. I love the other Black Panther figures that you may have invested in over the years. Those parts can interchange onto this. For example, I gave him the necklace from one of the previous versions, and I just, as a fan of the character, as a fan of, I think in the same way that Cap is iconic for Marvel, I think T'Challa is definitely up there. So to get as definitive a figure for him in this way is really important, and I think definitely earns him that one of those top spots on the list for sure.
Yeah, and just like we were saying with Cap a minute ago, we're well aware this isn't the pinnacle of Black Panther. There is still. The bar can still be raised when it comes to Black Panther, in regards to more accessories, more detail, because it basically is all black plastic. But we did want to sort of celebrate innovation because we're celebrating 20 years of Marvel Legends. This list is just to sort of look back and reminisce and sort of look how far we've came. And this year was introduced the Vulcan body. Now, this is probably the best use of the Vulcan body so far, as it's on an A-tier Marvel character. And it is definitely the best comic version of Black Panther, I think, so far as well. So, yeah, he sneaked in there at top 20. But, again, the bar can still be raised for Black Panther. Do you like this one at all, Rich?
I mean, he's not wearing a yellow jacket and he hasn't got glasses, but he's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. He's got a sort of cape.
Just another quick thing on it as well is... on the ACBA podcast a couple of weeks back, Dwight was saying that they are looking at making like a more medium-sized build for the Vows, the Renew Your Vows body, the Spider-Man body. That's just a bit bulkier and probably a bit more in scale with that Vulcan type mass.
Yeah.
And I think, like you say, there is always room for improvement. There's always room for innovation. And I think that T'Challa would really benefit from that type of body with that extra diaphragm and ab crunch. But the other thing as well that Stryden mentioned in the chat is that he still needs an unmasked head. After all these years, we still need that definitive T'Challa unmasked head. So hopefully in the years to come.
Like Rich was saying with Cap, we got Cap in a box with tons of accessories. So that's the sort of thing they need to do with a Black Panther. Like, this was obviously part of a Build-A-Figure wave, quite lackluster in regards to accessories. Again, that's why he's quite low on our list. But he's an A-tier character on a brand new Marvel Legend body that only debuted just this year. Completely pinuless. As I said, we're celebrating innovation here with an A-list character. But we're well aware the bar can still be raised for many, many reasons. But it is still worthy of celebration. So there you go. And number 19.
Amigo Weapon in the chat is saying he'll raise us Cyclops Falcon body. We had this discussion, right? Cyclops is VHS, so we kind of we're only doing comics for this.
We've got your boy's got toys.
Quiet Time donated $5. Finally, an empty house and time to enjoy some good content.
Thank you very much. Your boy's got quiet time. I'm assuming that's Alexi. Your boy's got toys. He says, finally an empty house. Time to enjoy some good content. Thank you very much, Alexi. Well, turn the TV up and let's go. We're at number 19. Still got some more. And yes, sorry to interrupt Rich, but yes, just to confirm, we did not include any gimmicky sort of sub-line. So that means no VHS line, because there's too much undecisiveness amongst the community in regards to where VHS sits amongst your collections. Like, some people love it, some people hate it, and the cel shading element itself is a whole conversation. So we just thought, for this particular top 20, no gimmicks, it's just comic Marvel Legends. If this character, the figure represents a character which is in your main 616 continuity of the universe, then it's fair game. But yeah, no cel shading. But yes, shout out to Cyclops, who again was on this body and a great figure. But yeah, no cel shading on this list today. No, maybe you'll see some retro cards if they don't have cel shading, if they're comic. Okay, next up. Number 18. Okay, this one I sort of had to fight for to get on the list, because I'm well aware it is just a man in a suited body. But again, we are celebrating 20 years of Marvel Legends here, and I wanted to pick out some figures that are worthy, as I said, I keep saying this, but worthy of celebration. That's what we're doing. We're celebrating a line that's so successful, and that's always giving you something we haven't got before. And when they revealed this, it was such a big deal because it was something we all wanted. I don't think any X-Men fan would be happy with their X-Men collections if you did not have, in some form, Charles Xavier, Professor X, in a yellow hover chair amongst your collection. It is as simple as that. And the success of the Riders line, yes, we had to make do with a couple of repaints of scooters and bikes, but we eventually got some use out of that line of something that we actually wanted in our collections. It is Professor X, the centerpiece, I'm sure, for many people's X-Men collection. And as I said, I know it's just a suited body, but I'm taking this whole thing into consideration. You get the hover chair, you get Professor X, and he's integral to your X-Men display. So again, I'm a bit biased with this one. I had to fight to get it in the list, but we're just... It's got to be in there, right, Brandon? You with me on this one?
Yeah, I think the thing that was a real selling point to getting this on the list for me was that when the Legends team first revealed it at San Diego in 2018, I think it was, I remember the slide had Dare to Dream come up on it. And like at that point, we'd only had, I think, the Ghost Rider bike, the Black Widow bike. And so to get something like this, which was completely different and really what the Riders line is kind of built for in terms of those really unique looking vehicles, I think that this has really cemented its place in Legends history as being one of the best releases we could have had. Like, and as you say, I know it's just a suited guy in a suited body, but everything else that comes around him, I think right now this is the definitive Professor X action figure out there in the 1/12 scale. Like, nothing compares, in my opinion. Yeah. So I think it really deserves to be on this list, just from the sheer like impossibility. I know that isn't a word, but like, who knew we would ever have gotten this? And now we take for granted how much we've got it.
If it wasn't on my X-Men display, there'd be a gap, there'd be a hole, and it would be noticeable. You'd be like, okay, that's a great display, but where's Charles Xavier? Do you know what I mean? Like, so what do you think, Rich?
I love this figure, and my favorite bit of all is I had the classic Toy Biz 5-inch Professor X, and he's got the little side computers as well where you can like put them out. So I love that they were like included as well. It's just like, yeah, it's an iconic piece. Like, if I think for any X-Men collection, you need Professor X hovering. I think the way they did it with the base as well, so it does actually hover, considering it's such a bulky bit of plastic, is really well done. And he's on the suited body, but Professor X is paralyzed from the waist down. So if you do stand him up and he falls over, it's accurate, isn't it?
He's not
Come
wrong.
on.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. And he comes with Cerebro as well, and he also comes in the package. You get the Shadow King head, so it sort of made use out of that extra Kingpin body you had lying around after we got the single pack version compared to the Builder figure. So I've now got Shadow King on my X-Men display in the background thanks to this set. And again, like we keep saying, the great thing about Marvel Legends is they're not stopping. The line's been successful for 20 years, and there's no signs of it slowing down. So there's always room to improve. And again, we need a new suited body. There's no arguing that. But like Brandon said, it's all about when this came out. This is what everyone wanted, and they gave it us. And again, that is something that we need to point out and make sure people realise, and make sure people are getting behind these things. Again, I think the Riders Wave was literally made with stuff like this in mind. They were like, okay, how can we sell to the higher ups at Hasbro, giving us Professor X? Let's do a Riders Wave. We'll put a few bikes out first, and then we're sneaking a vehicle people actually want. That's why the Riders Wave may not be around anymore, because there's only so many bikes and scooters they can give us. But if they had to give us all that for Professor X, then it was worth it in my eyes. So he had to be on the list for any X-Men fan at 18. Next up, the only Toy Biz representation on this list at number 17 is Giant Man. Now, like we said, I agree with Rich at the start. I'm not a big fan of the Toy Biz days. I wasn't a big collector during the Toy Biz days, okay? You all know I jumped on board during the Epic Hero days. Like 2012 is when I started picking up Legends. Always a Marvel fan, but never really got on board in the Toy Biz days. I wasn't a fan of the figures. I dabbled and picked up a few on the aftermarket as time went on, but this one always eluded me. I actually don't have this figure, and it is still on that list for me where I'm hoping Hasbro come round to redo it. But they haven't yet, and that is the point, and that is why he is on our list. Obviously, Toy Biz had the line for the best part of a decade. We need to sort of give them some love in our top 20 list, but Hasbro keep doing it better than them. It's just as simple as that. So this is the one that we are still waiting for Hasbro to do now, whether it be a deluxe, a builder figure, or even a HasLab down the line. I do think it's inevitable that Hasbro are going to get us a brand new Giant Man, which will eventually be better than this version. But for an Avengers member that you can't really, it's not easy to obtain, this figure can still hold up in a collection, I think, even from way back then in the Toy Biz days. Now, Brandon, you're the only one that actually has this figure, and did you buy it for those reasons?
No. So I didn't. I forgot to get it down from the loft, but I do have this guy. I love this figure. This was always my favorite Toy Biz figure. In terms of like more recent modern collecting. When I was a kid, I remember going into Woolworths and picking up like different Toy Biz figures over the years. I remember one Christmas I got for my Christmas present that year. I got the Sinister Six box set. And like there were stuff in there that I loved, but for me, like the biggest, bestest, most spectacular figure of them all was Giant Man. I think that the sheer size of this guy, I love the face sculpt and the paint on him as well. The fact that he has the articulated fingers, the articulated toes, meaning that you could get him into really cool poses, and most of the time he would hold those poses. Like this thing just impresses. But I think what is most exciting is, like you say, they outdid the Sentinel, they outdid Galactus, and this is the next big Toy Biz figure on the chopping block to
it's a waiting
get a
game. And like, while we're on this, obviously we can talk about Toy Biz for a second, because they did do some things great. Obviously they started the line, without Toy Biz, Legends wouldn't be a thing today. And the paint apps, and they obviously clearly had a bigger budget for Legends back then than they do now, because they went all out. You got a comic book, accessories, a stand, really good paint apps, but it just was a different time, and I don't think the technology was quite there yet to accurately represent what was on the comic page in plastic. But when it comes to Toy Biz, Rich, and Giant Man the Builder figure, what do you like? What are still highlights we can point out about it?
I mean, I love a giant member, so it's always good to get a giant member of the Avengers, isn't it? Like Ant-Man and Giant Man are like one of the original members of the event.
It's the same
of
guy.
the
It's Hank
Avengers.
Pym.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a great figure. He is a good looking figure, and I'm surprised Hasbro haven't done it yet. I'm guessing my voice is going. I'm so sorry. They're probably, I guess Hasbro are probably really wishing that they'd gone with this year rather than Ghost Rider.
Absolutely,
But maybe
yeah.
in the future we might see it as a HasLab. But again, we could see it. I mean, his whole thing is he changed his heights. So you get a regular version, get a deluxe version, get every version of him. So I'm surprised we haven't had one.
Yeah, I think in 2015 there was a 3 3/4 set that had a few different scales, but it wasn't technically Legends. It was Infinity or whatever they called that line back then. But there has been different versions. But yeah, absolutely, we need a big one. We need one that will tower amongst your Avengers on the shelf. I'm sure Hank Pym's coming with the new. You always know that Hasbro like to give us product that's sort of whatever's in the zeitgeist and in pop culture. And next year we're getting a new Ant-Man movie. Now that may encourage them.
Almost next month.
Yeah, exactly. So like, surely this has to be on their radar sooner than later to give us a new comic version of Giant Man amongst our Avengers displays. But we did want to give at least one Toy Biz figure, and this is one that Hasbro haven't redone yet. And don't get me wrong, there's some great Toy Biz figures, but I do think the majority of them now have been sort of replaced, if you will, but I understand that people still have a lot of solid attachment to it, and I can already see some people in the chat like saying, "Oh, that should be here, this should be there," like. And again, it's so me, Rich, and Brandon couldn't even agree. By the way, so this whole list is a compromise. But like, just for my mindset, why is Professor X and Professor Cap? Well, if you take that particular 20th anniversary Captain America away from the Marvel Legends line, we still have other Captain Americas to fill that void. Professor X. You don't have other. You take that Professor X Riders Wave out of the 20 years of Marvel Legends, what are you replacing him with? Nothing. And I think that's what we're doing today. We're sort of trying to point out what should be celebrated amongst these 20 years. Again, we've tried not to pick the same character twice, for example, as well. And you'll see why, as I said, as we go through. But there you go. At number 17, we've shown Toy Biz some love, but that's the only love they're going to get in this list. It is Giant Man. And I hope Hasbro are listening, watching, and I hope they are well aware that you've got a whole chat room of people here that want a brand new comic Giant Man in a big scale, please. Like, make him massive. He's called Giant Man, all right? The clue's in the name, okay? Just letting you know. Right, next up. 16. Now, talking about character representing, we needed Wolverine. You need a Wolverine in your, and Wolverine is such a toyetic character. Like, doesn't matter what company or what toy, so you always find a way to get Wolverine in there. In the Toy Biz days, before Marvel Legends, they gave us like 6 different versions of Wolverine, and then Legends came along and we got multiple versions of Wolverine as well. Like, Wolverine is undoubtedly an A-tier X-Men character, a lot of people's favourite. So we needed Wolverine in this list somewhere. So we thought, well, I thought at least, and I presented to these two, which is the best Tiger Stripe Wolverine. I think it's the Love Triangle 3-pack version, because look at what you get here. You get 3 heads, so you get a beaten up head, normal sort of angry looking head, an unmasked head, and the cowl, which is important. I like little details like that. You get the bone claws and the claws. Now, again, Legends have yet to nail the claw element. I know that on some of the X-Force figures they're better, of course, but it's still something they need to improve on. However, as a Tiger Stripe Wolverine, I think this is the best we've got so far, and I'm sure more Wolverines are coming. Do you know, like, it's inevitable. We've already got the Uncanny X-Men Wolverine just at the end of this year. That's now pinless. So when are we getting the pinless Tiger Stripe Wolverine with the new claws? I'm sure it's going to happen. But until then, I think this is worthy of being in a top 20 list for your X-Men and Marvel Legends collections. Brandon?
Yeah, man, I think you're exactly right. This comes with all of the accessories we would want for Wolverine, between the battle damage, like raging head, and then the sort of scowling head, and then the unmasked head, then the neck piece, plus the 2 different interchangeable hands. The only other thing I would have loved here is just plain fists, something like that. But when you have all the different versions of Tiger Stripe Wolverine that we have already, it's easy to change those over. But I think this is currently the definitive Wolverine. I love the VHS version. but I think that for a comic Wolverine, this is the go-to for sure. The only other thing I would say about this is I do prefer the claws that we got on the X-Force version. Those slightly longer, slightly thicker claws. I think those they pose better. I think they look better. But yeah, this is the go-to for sure for Wolverine.
Agreed. Obviously, these claws are very frustrating for display. Like, mine are always wonky and crossing and warped. It's very annoying. Something that Hasbro need to improve on across the line. The X-Force Wolverine is probably the best they have done so far. They need to implement that across all their Wolverines. I think some of the movie ones were pretty good as well. But this list is about comic figures. Wolverine had to be in there. And the free pack is really good as well. You try and get that free pack now for a reasonable price on the aftermarket. You can't, because it's very sought after. 380, like, if you're building an X-Men collection, you can start off with this free pack right there with that little love triangle. So yeah, Rich, what do you think? Best Wolverine possibly?
Yeah, for now I'd say possibly yes. I would agree with that. In this look anyway, in this like classic, and this is I think the classic look everyone thinks of when you look at Wolverine again, saying about that being like the ultimate version of this costume in comic form. You get everything. You get your bone claws, you get your metal claws, you get your unmasked head, you get your cowl you can put around his neck. You get a bit of everything. So this is a great thing. I get your battle damage head as well with the tufts of hair coming out of it. It's kind of like there's a lot going on here, and it is a great great version of Wolverine. Again, now we've got those, like Brandon said, those X-Force claws, they would be much better on it. Now we've got different bodies using for Wolverine that could be better for it. But for this version and this look of Wolverine, this is definitely a worthy number 16.
Yeah, and if you've ever watched a video on this channel, then you know I love saying options. Options are never a bad thing, all right? And this is what you've got with this figure. You've got multiple options for display. You can mix it up. And yeah, it's just a solid... My mind's eye of Wolverine, selfishly, but I'm sure a lot of people are on the same page as me. So there you go. Wolverine at number 16.
Right. I was just gonna say, I don't remember you saying options. You always say my mind's eye, and then you said my mind's eye. So yeah, 2 for 1.
I do say both of those things a lot. I should start branding them with t-shirt style. Right, next up. Right, we're getting into our top 15 now. And we've got our first female on the list, okay? So we've got the female Silk. Now, to be completely honest with everybody, don't have this one, okay? So Brandon and Rich had to sort of remind me how good this figure was. So just my thoughts real quick is that, like we did with Black Panther, we're celebrating innovation and how far the line has come. And that's exactly what this figure is. This figure is on the brand new Shriek Marvel Legend female body. Now, the community were asking for years for double jointed elbows on a female, and Hasbro finally listened and made it happen with Shriek towards the tail end of last year. This year we've seen a sprinkle of other Marvel Legend characters get that Shriek body treatment, and also with the advancements of like the digital face printing tech, for example, which this figure has really solid head sculpts as well. Again, options, 2 head sculpts, multiple hands, accessories with some power effects with the webs. Like, this for me, even though I don't have the figure, I do plan on picking her up, and I understand why you wanted her in here. She is the best current example of the innovation of the female Marvel Legend base body with Silk. Is that right, Brandon?
I would say so for sure. And again, this is a figure that hits all the right marks, right? You have options with all the accessories. You have fun factor because of the accessories and because of the added articulation. Pinless joints all over, double jointed elbows, double jointed legs. Like this, and to top it all off, I think the photo reel, the way that they brought that over to the comic figures from the MCU figures, most of the time it looks great, but some of the time it looks absolutely exquisite. Cap being an example earlier on in the list, and Silk here being another perfect example as well. I think it really brings those figures to life to a whole nother level. Personally.
Yeah, when we were talking about this during our list, again, it wasn't even on my radar because I don't have it, but you two brought it to my attention, and now I'm like really jealous I don't have it. Like, I skipped it just because I already have both Silk and Dr. Octopus, but now I'm like, okay, I need to go and get this pack to have the best version of Silk, because I always want the best version of the character on my shelf if they're available, and that's exactly what this Silk is. What you're showing it off there, Rich? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, like you were saying, Dan, like when this was first announced, I was just like, oh, it's Silk in the costume we've already got. It's not really worth it. But then seeing the reviews, I backtracked, picked it up, and it is one of my favorite female figures this year. It's definitely the best use of that new chic body. I just think the head sculpts by Paul Hardin, they are so a much bigger step up than the original Silk are. Like both this version and the unmasked hair, she's got a shorter hair, like the body, it just works for Silk for like a Spidey character with all the articulation, with the double jointed elbows. She's got that like new web piece that goes onto her hand. That's like a new bit. It's just a really, really good figure. Again, she is a character, one of the new characters, and she's had 3 versions more or less of this costume in quite quick succession. But this version is definitely the best. She's much better than the other 2. I've got the other 2 as well, and like putting them together, this one is just leaps and bounds above it. Like this body, I hope, like for like more the younger characters like Silk, yeah, like your late teens to like early 20s characters would work a lot, really good for. I hope they're going to use it a lot more going forward with your double jointed elbows and double jointed knees as well. It's probably the best body we've got for female legends at the minute, and I hope they expand it with like a moonstone type figure with a bigger bust going forward, and like taller characters, like She-Hulk bulkier characters as well. I think this is a good start, but it needs to like expand out from here. But for this body, it's a great use of it. Like we've had Siren on it, we've had Shriek on it, we've had Maria Hill Quake on it as well.
Agony.
So go with Agony as well, yeah. So going forward to use this body is going to be good. But I think of the current representations that are available to buy, Silk is definitely the best one, and that's why she made our list.
Yeah, and like we keep saying with character representation, like if the figure accurately represents what we see on the comic page, that's massively important because that's the whole reason you're buying this little plastic representation. It's because it looks like the thing you love from the source material, and she does look great. And yeah, now I'm itchy to backtrack and get her from Amazon. I do really want Cindy in like her first costumes, where she's just covered in the webs. I don't know if Hasbro will ever do that. There's no reason why they couldn't do that, but I hope they do that. But like we're saying, the reason we've picked Silk is because she is the best current example of that new double jointed pinless Shriek body in the Legends line, which I'm sure we'll see many times again. But we finally got double jointed female elbows, people. It needed to be in the list, so she makes it at number 15. 14. Now, no one can have a Marvel, well, you could, but I always love the fact that you can have both good guys and bad guys on a shelf. So if we're getting all these great good guys, we need the bar to be raised with the bad guys as well. And the last couple of years, Hasbro have done exactly that, as bad guys have nearly been at the top of I think the top of my list just last year was another bad guy. This year, I think it's another bad guy. Like the villains, they're up in their game. And when we get an A-tier villain to pair up with our A-tier heroes, using that new technology with the pinless tech, with all the articulation you would want, and it represents the character from the comic page, it's win-win. Give me accessories, give me options, and I think that's what this Red Skull does. It's an A-tier Marvel villain on a brand new body that's all pinless. You've got accessories. Again, it needs to be celebrated. Like when you pair this up with like the 20th Cap, for example, there you go. You're starting off an Avengers display right there. Brandon.
I couldn't agree more, man. I love this thing to death. All the hands, all the heads, plus the Tesseract, plus the gun. Like it's a solid release. I think that body is perfectly built for Red Skull. I think that the pinless double joints as well are just exactly what all you could want in a figure, especially a comic figure that is as definitive a character like this, that is as big of a villain as this. And I'm just trying to find the shot now. Like I know that's the back of it, but like just that contrast between, as you said, between this Red Skull and the 20th Cap, like they just look great together. Like really great together. So I think this has options, it has versatility. I think it's got fun factor. Yeah, I think this is easily like this is a no-brainer to be in this list. I
That
think
maniacal, like, grinning face as well grew on me in person. When I first seen it revealed, I was like, that looks a bit weird. But in person, you're like, okay, it's just a crazy, sinister Red Skull. Yeah, and you may just think, oh, he's just a guy in a jumpsuit. Yes, and that's exactly how he appeared in the early days of Hasbro, of Marvel. And we hadn't had it yet in the sort of Hasbro era. So aesthetically, it just fits beautifully into a current display. And again, he's one of the big bads. We needed him on the shelf. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, definitely a great figure. I like this body. I mean, like, it's been used on like a couple of other figures since, but I think on Red Skull it definitely works. And I think for a comic book based Red Skull, this one looks great. It looks like that.
Oh, 1 second, we got a super chat from Nathan, a big one as well. Thank you so much, Nathan.
V donated $20.
Friday, read that out.
Thanks, Dan, Brandon, and Rich. This channel is my go-to for all things Marvel Legends. But more importantly, this channel has brought me joy when I needed it the most. Thank you again and keep it coming in 2023.
Nathan, that is much appreciated. Hope you had a great Christmas and you're going to have a happy new year. We appreciate the super chat. He says, thanks Dan, Brandon and Rich. This channel is my go-to for all things Marvel Legends, but more importantly, this channel has brought me joy when I needed it most. Thank you again and keep it coming in 2023. As I said, unfortunately for you guys, I am not going anywhere. I'm still going to be here in 2023, whether you like it or not. Everyone's like, just leave with Brandon, Dan. Just go. It's over. The game's over. I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere. But we appreciate that, Nathan. Thank you so much for the generous donation here in this holiday, festive, end-of-year season. Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt, Rich. Back to you.
Your hair just knocked everything down.
Oh,
what was I saying? Yeah, it's a really good figure.
There you go. There you go. Nice. Nice. Okay, there you go. 14. Next up, Mojo. Now, again, this figure only came out this year and he's already in the list. Yes, because he's that good. Like, Mojo is such an awkward looking character design. It would be quite hard to accurately represent that in plastic as good as they have, and they nailed it. Like, the Toy Biz one was one of those Toy Biz ones that you thought maybe Hasbro ain't going to be able to do as good, because the Toy Biz one had all the paint details, it had all the gangly legs, it was ugly looking. Like, the Toy Biz one was good, it could hold up in a collection. But then Hasbro have come around and gave us a big, like, he's bigger in proportions as well. Scales better. All the legs have articulation. There's two versions of this, obviously, depending on which color palette you prefer. There's the Mojo World version. I think this picture represents the single packed version. But both of them are the same figure with a different paint deco. So pick your poison. I think I preferred the slightly darker yellow on the Mojo World. It also had some more paint detail on the sort of mechanics of his sort of robot sort of thing. What are they called? A machine? I can't remember what they're called, but who makes them as well? Never mind. I ain't got no notes today. But my point is, he comes with 2 heads, 2 hands, and he's just so good. It's Mojo. Like, spoiler alert, he's going to be in my top 10 of this year. And he's already jumped into the top 20 of Marvel Legends ever, just for the accuracy of such a gangly looking Marvel Legend. Again, I love the villains as well. But yeah, this would not be nowhere near Amanda's top 20 or top 30 or top 50, but he's straight in there for me. And again, this is one I had to sort of push for, but it's hard to challenge it when it's, again, utilizing the best of current Marvel Legends. Brandon, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I love this thing. It's one of those figures that, like, you have in hand and it's just like, wow, like, I can't even believe this thing exists. Do you know what I mean? Like, we had that Toy Biz version for so long, and so to get this is I think, especially because we already have those options, right? Between now that you guys have said options, I feel like I'm just going to keep saying options throughout this whole rest of the list.
Options ain't a bad thing.
Whether you go for the 3-pack version or whether you go for the deluxe release, I think this is exactly what we could want from a Mojo figure.
Hang on, pause for 1 second. We got Spicy Cloud Foxwell.
Brandon, the show won't be the same without you, but I wish you nothing but amazing things in your life. Thank you for making me feel like home here. You're a wonderful person. Cheers.
I will read it for Brandon. It says, Brandon, the show won't be the same without you, but I wish you nothing but amazing things in your life. Thank you for making me feel like home here. You're a wonderful person. Cheers. And that was from the Spicy Cloud Foxwell. Thank you very much, Cloud. we appreciate you. We appreciate you being here every week. Hopefully we can be that happy distraction like we are for Nathan. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, we will come and pay a lot more attention to the chat once we've got through this list. Promise. I promise you.
You'd have got $15 if you'd been on time every week.
He doesn't care now. It doesn't matter now. These jabs will not hurt him. He's off. He's off to put his feet up.
It's my last day. It's the last
his
time
last
I can do
chance.
it.
Last chance. We can just pre-record him and
blocked,
send him.
be blocked on everything from tomorrow now. He's like, I'm going to put an arsehole again. Block.
Rich, Mojo, what do you think?
I love Mojo. He looks amazing. Like you said, if you pick up this version or the other version, they're both great looking figures. Like, he's just the big megalomaniac, TV running Mojoverse madman, and he looks great. He stands up on the shelf. He doesn't fall over, even though those little tiny legs, because he's got like the way the base is arranged. It's just really good. If you haven't seen this figure in hand, I suggest going to like your local comic book store and just open packaging and have a look, because it is a really, you could do it now. They're in the box.
With plastic-free packaging, it might not even be in there.
No one would know. Put a potato in there. No one would know anyway. But yeah, no, it is a really, really good looking figure in hand. And I think when you've got Spiral, Longshot, and Dazzler around him, it just looks really, really good. Whatever version of Spiral, Dazzler, and Longshot, like the way it is now, you can pick up the single pack versions of him. Spiral and Longshot will be on the shelf, or should be on the shelf in America. Like in the next couple of weeks, they are starting to ship in the US now, and like you can just like backtrack and get the Dazzler from the retro wave, which doesn't go for that much. But yeah, a really cracking figure. And like again, I would say until this one, that old Mojo, I would say held up as well.
Agreed.
Because of his proportions. He could have fitted in with like your X-Men display, your Hasbro display. A lot of people did have it. But I think when you see this one and put them next to each other and look at them together, this one is so much better. You can just see his come on leaps and bounds. And yeah, that's why this one is number 13.
There you go. So just missing out on the top 10. But it's a great figure. Again, like Rich said, once you see it online and you're like, oh, okay, it looks good. But then when you get it in hand, you're like, oh, okay, this is epic. So like, yeah, get it if you haven't, especially if you're an X-Men fan. Really, really good figure. All right, next up. Staying in the X-Men universe. Again, this one may be a harder sell, but let me talk you through this, okay? There's just a few figures during the time of Marvel Legends that are just so sought after, people go crazy for, right? And after the Juggernaut Rogue came out and people missed the train on that, people were trying to backtrack and try and get these X-Men characters in their Jim Lee outfits and start building this display as Marvel Legends started to get more popular. So they re-released her on this retro card. So that's why we picked the retro card version over the Juggernaut version, because I think this is the better out of the two. Again, personal preference, but for today's list, this is the one we've went for. It also comes with the glove, with the hand, the gloveless hand, which is a nice touch for Rogue. But yeah, add the retro card to a really popular female character in her most iconic look, at least for me. And again, the community sort of agrees, as this was super sought after. But the reason we've picked this, and again, Rich can talk better to this than me, but it's because we're trying to celebrate 20 years of Marvel Legends, and like the Moonstone body mold was probably, until the Shriek body mold came along with the double jointed pinless technology, the Moonstone body mold was probably the best choice we had for our female Marvel Legends. And Rogue is one of those sort of modernish figures that are still using that body mold, and then she still looks great on a display. Put her on a flight stand. I think she's on my flight stand behind me, just hovering above, and she looks great. But I'll throw this one to Rich. You were an advocate for getting this one on there. Rogue.
So yeah, so I just think the Moonstone body mold was such a big step forward for female Marvel Legends. Like, I think in proportions, it looks like a superhero female. It's like if the men can have huge, massive chests, then women can have shapely bodies.
Well, that's how they were drawn as well, weren't it? Like,
yeah. And boobs. There's nothing wrong with boobs. Like, the only thing I would say about the chic body, there's nothing wrong with boobs. The chic body is okay for like a teen female or someone in their 20s. It's not good for a She-Hulk, for a
A
Rogue,
voluptuous,
for a
mature
voluptuous
woman.
superwoman. And there's nothing wrong with being a superwoman. Like, it's like the ideal men, ideal females. It's about that perfect body shape. And I don't get why all of a sudden everyone shies away from this. Like, oh, it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with some curves on a figure. This is a great figure. It is perhaps the best use of the Moonstone body mold. Rogue, it looks like it stepped out of the animated TV show. It looks like it stepped out of the Jim Lee comic books. It's just a great looking figure. And whether you get this one with like the hand that comes off, or you get the original version, which has that alternate, the alternate Mystique head came with Mystique, didn't it? That came with Mystique, ignore me. But the one that came in the Juggernaut wave as well is a really great figure. Just really great representation of Rogue, perhaps the best version of Rogue that we've got. I mean, like, obviously, hopefully we'll get a version with pinless, like, elbows and pinless legs going forward. There's still some improvements they could do. But for now, this is a great version of Rogue. I don't think it looks out of place on your shelves. I think it stands out. It just looks great. It is the Southern Belle in plastic form. And I thought this was, like, the only one I thought for on this list. I was like, she has to get in here somewhere. So I'm glad she got in at number 12.
The chat are preaching. The preach, Rich, preach, testify. Hallelujah. Brandon, like Rich said, like when we were putting our list together, to be fair, we probably wouldn't have had Rogue even on our radar because you just think it didn't come to mind, to be honest. But when Rich brought all that to our attention, you're like, yeah, he's not wrong. Like, that was the best female body mold for a long time. And this, like, it was such a sort of, like, when figures cause such a hype, it needs to be, like, you need to pay attention to that. And, like, this was, Rogue caused mayhem amongst the community.
I completely agree. I think as well, when that Juggernaut Wave version came out, it was, like, groundbreaking almost to get a Rogue in that definitive kind of look of hers, because I think we'd had a couple of, you know, either ugly rogues in Legends.
The toy biz of all the female figures, the rogues were absolute dog shit. Every version of Rogue was absolute dog shit. Looked like the most ugly. I don't think it even looked like a woman. It looked like the most ugliest thing you've ever seen. This is like a million times better than that. Sorry. Don't mean to go off on one, but the toy biz rogues are bloody awful. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No. Absolutely, I agree with you. And that's the thing. So I think to then get this retro version out a couple of years later, or a few years later, 4 years later, by that point, with the added accessories, that more classic Jim Lee style hair and head sculpt, and the updated face deco as well. Like, I think that Rogue is one of those X-Men that is just iconic, especially in this outfit. And I think that, I think that the Moonstone body held up so much across the years with Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Warbird, just to name a couple of them. And so I think this is the best representation of that body that deserves a spot on this list for sure.
I can see people in the chat on both sides. And again, that's what's so great about this conversation is, like, this is just our list on this day. By no means do we think you have to agree with us, but we're just trying to sort of give you our thought process of why they are. Like, but every single person in this chat, every single person lurking would have their different top 20. And no one would be right and no one would be wrong. And that's what's so great about Legends is that there's genuinely different elements that people enjoy and everyone's different, and I'm definitely not one of these channels where the chat has to agree with me for me to like you and welcome you here. Do you know what I mean? I welcome everybody, even if you disagree with our list today. It's absolutely fine. But no, I like, for the reasons Rich said, I think it's worthy of note when we're putting a list of 20 Marvel Legends. We need to acknowledge the Moonstone body mold, and I think Rogue, for the many reasons we've just said, is why we've picked it. So there you go. At number 12, Rogue. Next up, I doubt less people will challenge this one, as this was probably the best Marvel Legend of the year it came out. 2018, I'm sure Brandon will correct me if I'm wrong. But this is the Walgreens... the Walgreens exclusive Thing. Now, why do we love Marvel Legends, right? Because they actually represent the character that we love from the comic page, from the source material, all right? We're all collectors here. We can't help ourselves but want that little plastic piece on our shelf from the thing we love. See what I did there? The thing we love. And Thing is such an accurate representation of Thing. And like, they have re-released his body multiple times since then. And this is probably still the best version because it's got like the dark wash throughout all the cracks and just brings out all the unique detail. You even get the two heads as well and the two hands. He has surprisingly more range as you would expect. And all of that, he wasn't a souped up deluxe higher priced figure. This was just a standard priced Marvel Legend at retail, that the box was heavy. You felt good value for money when you were buying this. And it was the start of a great sort of team for the first family of the Marvel universe, Fantastic Four. We've got many versions now in plastic, of course, but I think this is probably still the best Thing. And yeah, it was a good turning point. 2018 was a good year where Legends started to up their game, and they did for a little while after. And Thing, he has to be on the top 20 list. Has to be, right? What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, like this is like, to me, it just looks like Thing. It is my mind's eye version of Thing, like you say. It's just a great looking figure. Like, it still fits in now, even, and I think whatever version of the Fantastic Four you want to build around it, you can use this version of Thing, and it still fits. It's got both the two heads as well. It's got grimacing look and his other look, and it just looks great. Like, it's a big chunky figure. It probably should, like, nowadays it would probably be a deluxe figure because it's like in the packaging, it takes up the whole of that box type of thing. And it's like, it's weighty as well. It's like, if that falls down, it's going to knock half shelf with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is a great looking figure.
Blunt force weapon. Brandon, you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I love this figure simply because that summer was mine and Mrs. Hero's first summer together. And I remember I was flying back and forth from Miami a few times that year. And we went into where her apartment was. Literally, you would walk out the apartment, walk across the road, and then 5 minutes there would be a Walgreens, and then 5 minutes down the road on the other side was another Walgreens. And I remember us walking into the second Walgreens, and there was like 10 of this thing on the shelf, right? And then we drove down to drove up to Fort Lauderdale, and we went into another Walgreens, and there was like 4. I've got the picture somewhere. There was 4 of these Walgreens things, and like 3 or 4 of the Walgreens Silver Surfer that came out like earlier that year. And I just remember being like, this is just with the same as I've said with other figures on this list. It's that like impossible factor. Like, how did we get to a point where like we would get a figure of the Thing, of this character, as good as this? You know, both heads, both hands, everything you need in one pack. And I remember when you would, like what Rich is saying, when you first pick up that figure in pack, and it's like, you pick it up and you're like, whoa. Like, I was not expecting it to be as heavy as it is. Like, it's solid, chunky plastic. Throw on the black wash that it's got, throw on all the different sculpted detail that it has across it. Yeah, this is like, this is one of the best figures that Hasbro have done for sure.
Yeah, again, you felt good about your purchase because you're like, okay, I definitely paid and got my plastics work for this. Like, they didn't make us buy a 5-pack, a 3-pack. They just were like, no, here's a great Thing figure, single packed. Yes, you need to go and find Walgreens, but I think many people managed to get this at the time. Again, there's been other versions, but this still, like every other version, has been compared to this first one. And a lot of people would still argue, because of that solid dark wash that brings out the details, people still probably pick this one overall. So, yeah, he had to be on the list, and he just missed out on the top 10. But there you go, Thing at number 11.
I like how Brandon remembers his romantic moments with what figure he was buying.
Listen,
as well.
in those days, like Walgreens, that would have been 2018, and in those days, Walgreens was on point. Like, I remember walking in the spring of 2019, and they had Mystique on the shelf on a sale with a Walgreens card for like $7. Like, those days was it for Walgreens.
I don't have no romantic tales about Walgreens. I have like tales of me dragging Amanda, making her get off buses on away places. Like, there's a Walgreens, quick, get off the bus. Well, we've got places to be. I don't care. There's a Walgreens. Like, yeah, she hates Walgreens for those reasons.
Walgreens is a relationship killer.
Well, no more Marvel Legends Walgreens anyway. It's all over. It's all over. In 2023, people, there are no more Walgreens exclusives. There you go. You heard it here second because I didn't say you first. Right, number 10. We've already talked about some villains, but we haven't talked about this one yet. That's because he is at number 10. It is Doctor Doom, staying in that Fantastic Four sort of universe. Just an epic villain and an epic Marvel legend. Now, to be honest, he could have been higher, but when we were discussing it, it was like that plastic cape is very limiting. But when we're doing a list of Marvel Legends, cloth capes have never been part of the Marvel Legends aesthetics, you know. So for what Marvel Legends is, this is still a great version of Doctor Doom. This is the version we've chose is the Super Scroll version, the slightly darker green compared to the retro version. The retro version did sort of have a bit of soft goods, if that counts, but I still think the darker. It sort of, by default, it sort of did. But
that's like saying Storm and Siren have got soft goods with those shitty capes.
Anyway, we didn't pick that one. We picked this one because the darker green, like we keep saying, is more my mind's eye of Doom. He is like, where is he on my shelf? He's epic. He looks like the character, and the character itself is quite a clunky looking character design because he's obviously in the armor with the robes, but they nailed it with the sort of metallicness of the silver with the dark green and the two face sculpts as well. By the way, you got two different looks as well. His holster worked for his weapon, and just for another A-list villain on the shelf. They've nailed it with this Doctor Doom. Like, they've nailed it. Brandon, you love this one as well.
I adore this figure. Absolutely adore this figure. This is just, again, they did it once and it was pretty much damn near perfect, you know? I think that the only thing that holds it back is that plastic cape, but once you throw on the right soft goods for this guy, he is just, yeah, a staple. I think mine is literally the centerpiece of my villains display with Kang and Red Skull either side of him. And yeah, I think this is just one of my favorite legends that they've ever done. For sure.
The sculpt, as I said, like all the armor pieces are sculpted in, and like even like his tunic robe type thing has that sort of textured detail to it with the wrinkles, and just so good. Rich, do you like this one?
Oh, I love this figure. Again, I think when we were talking about this, I do aim more to the retro version. I just like the classic colours, the green, and I think that one comes with like the book, the ultimate nullifier, like all these little accessories. I think add to it.
One second, we got D Blake Makes. Thank you very much.
D Blake Makes donated $10. We will miss you, Brandon, when you make it to the States and are ready to set up your collection. I will send you some complimentary signs to treat your shelves. Best of luck. And Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you very much, Damien, a.k.a. D Blake Makes. He says, we will miss you, Brandon. See what he did there? When you make it to the States and are ready to set up your collection, I will send you some complimentary signs to treat your shelf. Best of luck and Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to you, D Blake Makes. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I think he's just popped into the chat as well, so I just seen him. So thank you very much, Damien. We appreciate you. Sorry, Rich. Friday's always got perfect timing for when you're talking. I think people wait for you to start talking.
They just don't want to speak today.
They're trying to save your voice.
It's the good figure. Fuck the lot of it.
Okay, that's 10. Okay, that's 10 people. A solid Marvel Legend villain. Again, accurately represents what we see on the comic page into plastic. Not much wrong with this. Apart from the cape, that's why is it 10. But again, soft goods capes ain't really part of what Marvel Legends do. So in the Marvel Legends aesthetic of things, it's spot on. Okay. Next up, number 9, making it into the top 10 of Marvel Legends of all time is this representation of War Machine that they absolutely nailed. This is War Machine in a box because you get everything you want to display War Machine. You get a classic looking armor, you get the unmasked roadie head with the sort of 90s sort of flat top, you get all the weapon effect pieces to sort of bring the character to life on the shelf. You get the repulsor blast stand pieces as well. I love it. Like, you know me, my display is very school book photo style where everyone's crammed in. It's a very packed shelf. But this figure, you can pose up so easily and make him come to life and make him a little bit more dynamic on the shelf. And it's such a solid representation of the character as well. Like, you've got display options, like I keep saying. And, like, when you mash all those things together, like, it's War Machine in a box. multiple ways to display him. The figure itself is great as well, with the cannons that have articulation on themselves, and you can plug the effects into his like wrists and into the cannons. And I think I have mine with the cannons on the shelf behind me with some rockets. Like, those rockets are epic. Look at that. He just looks fun on the shelf, and I think fun factor is really important. And when he's fun, he's accurate, and just got all that options with accessories, he had to be in the top 10. I can see you nodding, Rich. Do you agree with this one?
Yeah, 100%. This is a great figure. It's just the perfect version of like War Machine, 90s War Machine. Like, coming with the alternate head, I think, is the icing on the cake for this. It just pushes it over the edge. But all the accessories, because the thing was, War Machine, he wasn't just like Iron Man in a different colored armor. He had like all the weapons, all the guns, all the rockets, all the big artillery. So the fact that it comes with all that, with all the rockets to go everything, the blast, you can put him as well. They're a bit dodgy, they're not the most stable, but you can stand him as if he's like blasting into the air as well, which is great. It's just a really, really good figure. And for a deluxe figure, you get everything in the box. You can get your ultimate version of War Machine in one go. So yeah, it's a great figure.
Yeah, I love the chromey sort of colour palette they went for as well. And like you said, it's that heavy artillery. That's what makes the difference. Brandon, you love this one as well.
I adore this figure, man. Absolutely adore this figure. I love the grayscale coloring on it. I love the articulation on it. Those pinless arms, the ball joint in the neck. I think that the unmasked head is great as well. I think it's a slight shame that we just missed the window on the photo real comic deco for this head, but it still holds up. I love the sculpted detail on the beard and on the hair. And like Rich says, all those rockets, all the guns, the big blasting war machine, it really lives up to its name. So I think this for me is like a staple on the shelf. And I think if the house is burning and I only had time to grab a handful, this is definitely one of the ones I prioritize personally.
I can see Striding in the chat saying the only issue was he was missing the repulsor hands, and yeah, that was a point of frustration. But I think all the other stuff that came in the box that basically only came with this guy does sort of make up for that. And there are ways to get some repulsor hands in your collection from other versions, but just for what this is in a box with all the accessories and the options, and yeah, just such a solid Marvel Legend figure for sure. So had to be in the top 10, and he makes it at number 9. Okay, I've sort of forgot what our list was because I don't have it in front of me, so I'm surprising myself as I go through here. So at number 8 we have Ghost Rider. Now, when I presented this idea to Brandon and Rich, this guy was a little bit higher for me because I just think it's such a solid representation of what this guy is. Like, the Riders Wave was built for this guy. They needed a way to give us a bike and Ghost Rider, and then they sneakily got us out of Professor X. So bravo, bravo. These are the two best things to come from the Riders Wave. But Ghost Rider is the one that makes the most sense on a bike, as that's what the character is. And for me, when you can get such a solid representation of a character in plastic in one go, like there has been other versions of Ghost Rider released, but never with his bike. This is the only way with Marvel Legends to get his bike. Now, I know the Cosmic version is out there as well, and it's a great figure. The Cosmic Riders Wave Ghost Rider is another solid figure. It's Frank Castle as the Ghost Rider with the powers Cosmic. But when it comes to picking between the two of them, we couldn't have them both on the list. I think the more iconic Ghost Rider is the one that needs to be celebrated here. An epic display piece. All the flames that attach to the bike just make it pop on a shelf. And yeah, like it just had to be on the list for the character and the figure and the bike, which makes so much sense. It's not just a gimmick. It literally is integral to who the character is. Ghost Rider is on the list at number 8. What do you think, Brandon?
I think that this is probably the definitive version of Ghost Rider. I know that we just got the recent retro carded version, but without his bike, this one I think still has that edge. I love the color scheme on this one with the black and the blue. I think that it's just funny. I mean, I remember picking this up at one of the discount stores in the UK for maybe like £30, something like that.
Try and do that now.
Yeah, and eventually when the price started to creep up with it, I sold it I think for maybe £100, something like that, out of box or with the box I think, but opened. And to think now this goes for 100, 150, 200 maybe if it's brand new and sealed and in great condition, all the rest of it. I think this is definitely a figure we will see the return of at some point, but how soon? Are we gonna have to wait for him to turn up in entertainment to get another version of him? Who knows?
It's a weird year to
Especially
talk
with the
about Ghost
writers
Rider.
line going a bit quiet in the last year or two. I think this one definitely deserves its place in the top 10.
I'm just bringing this one down from the top before I throw it to Rich, just to show you that this is another solid representation of the character in plastic. Now, it's a more modern version of Ghost Rider, but it is still a great version of from page to plastic of Frank Castle as Ghost Rider. But when we're doing a top 20, like, I do think you have to pick between the most iconic look for Ghost Rider. So that's why I was sort of fighting for him on this, because it's a display piece in a box. Like, you try and get this now on the aftermarket, you're looking at nearly $200, I think, in box, mint on card. So yeah, it's clearly a desired figure. People want this. People want Ghost Rider on a bike. They clearly don't want Ghost Rider in a car. The community have spoken. Rich, did you want him on a bike?
Yeah, Ghost Rider on a bike is how I tend to think of Ghost Rider, and how the rest of the public, I think, view Ghost Rider too.
Yeah.
So this is a great figure. Oh my God, we've got a super chat. I'll shut up again.
I think people wait for Rich to speak and they're like, right, let's get him. Compulsive Collector, thank you very much.
Compulsive Collector donated $6.66. On vacation, so can't catch the whole show, but I wanted to wish Brandon all the best in future endeavors. Early Happy New Year from New Orleans. Partying face.
Thank you very much, Compulsive Collector. That's John. He says, on vacation, I'll catch the whole show on the replay. But I wanted to wish Brandon all the best in his future endeavors. Happy New Year from New Orleans. Is he out there catching beads or giving out beads? Is it that time in New Orleans? Is it Mardi Gras? I don't know. I have no idea.
Mardi Gras, I think, is the end of February.
Well, they
early.
party all the time in New Orleans anyway. So have some fun, John. You enjoy yourself. Do you have this one, Rich?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
I think I've got all the riders with. Yeah, I have. I have got all the riders with.
Nice.
Yes, but yeah, it's a great looking figure, and I think it's the ideal version of Ghost Rider. And I think to most people, Johnny Blaze is the main Ghost Rider. So I think, like, hopefully this will get another go at some point, because I think a lot of people missed out and would love to get this. Like you said, this still goes for a pretty penny on the aftermarket. So hopefully one day, or maybe even do a good Danny Ketch version we've never had, and they could get another vision of the Ghost Rider bike then with that.
I think
we'll see.
That's what people want. That's definitely what people want, is Danny Ketch. People were disappointed not to see him at this year in some form or fashion, but I'm sure it will happen. And just like Brandon said, this figure that's actually in this, it was part of the Rhino Build-A-Figures wave before that as well, but that got released this year on the retro card with a few extra accessories as well. So they're still actually using this body, because yeah, it's decent enough. Is it the best Ghost Rider body they could ever give us? Probably not. But as I've said, the reason this is in the list is because it's such a solid representation of the character in a box, and then it's an epic display piece as well. And you get some decent lighting in there to sort of bring out the flames, and it just looks great. He had to be in there, but I'm sure if Danny Ketch ever gets released on his epic bike, then that one may jump him in the list. But for now, this is the best version we've got in plastic of the bike and Ghost Rider at number 8. And number 7. Ultron. Now, we've brought up a few bad guys in this list, like Red Skull and Doctor Doom. Of course, if they're in the list, Ultron had to creep in here somewhere. I think this was my best figure of 2021, maybe. Was this last year? It was top of my list, whatever year it was. Again, talk about character representation. This is Ultron. It's simple as that. They even gave us the Kirby Crackle effect that goes into his mouth. He's completely pinless. Really nice range of articulation. Comes with a few different hands as well for some more expressive poses. But he's a robot. Hank Pym made him in the comics, and he's forever coming back. We've even got his girlfriend Jocasta in plastic now as well. But as an A-list Marvel Legend villain that they absolutely nailed, this is up there. That's why he's in the top 10. Such a solid representation of Ultron for our comic displays. I know Brandon loves this one.
I absolutely adore this figure, man. And the Kirby Crackle just sets it off. Like, okay, great. We have 2 sets of hands that he comes with, plus the 3 pairs of hands that he comes with on top of that. But the Kirby Crackle is what really sets this apart. I think, for me personally, my favorite villains are Ultron, Kang, and Red Skull, with a bit of Doom thrown in there and a couple of others. But like my top three have pretty much all made this list, and Ultron, I think, just goes to top them all. Those pinless joints, those double joints, like for someone who army built, I think maybe 10 to 15 strong of the Iron Man 3 wave, Ironmonger wave 2013 Ultron with the bad hips and the bad articulation and the no ankle pivot. This was like, the plastic god's gift to me of a figure. Like, I absolutely adore this thing. It is so expressive. It's so much fun. Easily one of the best, if not the best, villain that we could have, I think, from Legends.
Rich, solid representation of Ultron, right?
Yeah, I just think Ultron to me is the ultimate Avengers villain. I think in the comics, he's just the big bad behind the Avengers. He's such a bastard. And this just looks great. It looks exactly like it came out of the comic book. It looks like George Perez's run, like in figure form. And you can army build it, get all your Ultron bots standing behind the main Ultron. Just a great, great figure. The metallic effect, everything on it is really, really good. So yeah, just a great figure.
Usually when they do metallicness or when they want the plastic to represent metal or armor, it's usually got that marbleization, but this one has none of that. It's just like a straight sprayed chrome that really does pop, and that orange Kirby crackle that, as I said, goes in and out of his hollow mouth in his jaw just adds to all of it. And the interchangeable hands give him a little bit more expressiveness, because Ultron, even though he's a robot, he is quite expressive in the comics, and he comes in multiple forms. But if you want your mind's eye of Ultron, I think they've nailed it in this version here. So yeah, like Rich said, A tier Avengers villain in plastic. They got spot on. Completely pinless as well. So like utilising the best of current Marvel Legends technology. So yeah, had to be on the list, and he makes it in at number 7. Okay. I've got figures all over the place now. It's fine. I'll tidy up later. My room's a mess anyway. Next up. Number 6. The Dan Who Blue Beast. I'll take this one. Okay. This may be a little bit biased, people. This may be a little bit biased. Now, let me explain. Even if the Dan Who Blue Beast, that's its full name, by the way, never got released this year, I would be fighting for the regular Beast to be in this top 10 anyway. Beast is such a solid figure with, like, for the character as well, such a big, chunky, unique character. They gave him so much articulation originally, but they gave him that one head sculpt with the whited out eyes to represent the comic cover, which was great, all well and good. But this version, it's that word again, people, gives you more options. Not only is it on the glorious, nostalgic orange retro card, which was just icing on the cake. Blue Beast on an orange retro card is something I always wanted, and they made it happen this year. They gave him 2 heads this time with his glasses. The beakers and stuff don't really make a difference to me, but I do like the lab coat. When I think Beast, I think he's the brains of the X-Men. Like, I always like the brainy guys. I don't know why, because I ain't got no brains. Maybe that's why I like them. But I'm the Donatello guy. I'm the Beast guy. Like, Beast in his lab coat. The blue as well. It's a different shade. It's like a slightly lighter blue. And it just, I don't know, pops a little bit more. But you can, for such a big character, you can move him and get him into some really fun poses. He will literally balance on one hand, like doing a handstand. And like, I would have liked them to figure out a way to do the glasses a little bit better if I'm being nitpicky. But you can still undoubtedly get him to stand there with the sort of more neutral expression, with the glasses on, with the lab coat, being the brains of the X-Men, but still the brute as well. And yeah, I love the options we've got here. And the retro card, as I said, is the cherry on top. So yeah, again, I'm a little bit biased with this one. I love Beast, but I do think the Marvel Legends Beast is also a great, great figure, and this is the better out of the 2 that we've got in recent years. Brandon?
I completely agree with you. The retro card celebrated by a great reveal and first review, plus all the added accessories with the lab coat, the glasses, the flasks as well. My only gripe with this guy is I would have loved to have had like a more eyed version of the head sculpts as well to, really bring him to life that bit more. But behind the glasses, you don't really notice. And even still, this was a great way to reissue this figure, and a great way to add even more value to it. So yeah, this is definitely worthy of the top 6, I think.
And can go into a normal Legends display, or you can fudge them into your sort of animated, sort of cel-shaded stuff with the lab coat. Rich, the Dan Who Blue Beast, epic figure, right?
Yeah, and I just think with the way this is, there's so many options. It's like you can get this head, take the glasses off, you get another option, take the lab coat off, another option. You've got different hands, another option. You've got these like glasses as well, like the flask, different options for the
You just
back,
want to say option
different
loads
options all
because
around.
because the
I just tried to
fossil
get excited and drunk. Yeah, the fossil. Sorry,
the fossil said take a shot.
shot.
So the fossil said take a shot every time someone says options. So Rich just
I
went.
was passed out.
He just started saying options with every sentence. I clocked what he was doing. I can't, if my throat weren't really on fire, I've literally ran out of water. I've drank loads. Then I would be I'll be doing shots, but I couldn't. But we'll take a second to pause anyway because Chevrick has dropped 5 gifted channel memberships. Oh, thank you very much, Chadwick. So that's who they gone to. So Greg, the Fossil. There we go. After all of that, the Fossil gets one. I am M1 Cha. Is that how you say it? Kirsty.
I am Mika.
Yeah, I am Mika, maybe. That probably makes more sense. Again, I'm terrible at English. Chrissy and Cheeky Monkey Kiara as well, who I met this week, by the way, at Toy Fair as well. And she says she loves the Dan Who Blue Beast. There you go. Then perfect timing to become a channel member. So thank you very much, Edwick. Much appreciated.
Well done, Cedric. Thank you.
Thank you. Much, honestly, thank you so much. Getting some people involved for the new year. I might do a little inner circle for my birthday, a little inner circle birthday party. So you have to be a channel member to see what that's about. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. They're going to start coming up on the screen. So I'll wait until they're over before I move on to our top 5. And that will give me a second, gentlemen, to get a drink. Rich, you need to go and get a drink. Shall we leave Brandon in charge? It's his last show. We'll just leave him in charge.
Brandon.
Right.
Brandon in charge.
Brandon, so your last show, right? So I'll give you the honour of being in charge for a whole minute while we go and I'm rich, bitch. we go and sort out the chat. Let me all right, Brandon, 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can get Brandon in the chat on the screen at the same time. I can do that. I've got magic. I'm good at Streamlabs as long as Amanda doesn't.
I need to put the figure I'm posing down and
yes, this requires your attention. Just it's your last show, Brandon. Just pay a little bit of attention, all right? Just for old time's sake, when you used to love us, when you actually used to like us. Okay, where's it gone?
Tell people about the DC books you bought over Christmas.
Oh God,
Brandon, my friend.
Oops, hang on a second.
I'm so sorry that I won't.
In a minute. Oh shit, what have I done? All right. All right. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Okay, Brandon, you're on your own, right? You're in charge. Don't burn the house down. We'll be back in a minute with our top 5. I just needed to get another drink while those super chats are rolling. Thank you very much, Sedgwick. No problem. Thank you so much.
Cool. Okay. Well, seeing as they've both left me with the best crew on YouTube, the Who crew, let's see what you guys are thinking. So we have been through 15 of our top 20. Which figure would you say so far is the best of those 15? Which would you say is your favorite of those 15 so far? Antonio says my number 1 is Cap. Cheeky Monkey Kiara says it was great to meet Dan. Antonio says Brandon, go on one last rant. Jay said that was a lot of buttons. Antonio, I mean, I think everyone has loved those rants over the years, right? And I feel like the rants have only come as and when is absolutely like necessary, you know? I tried to make sure that they were, you know, sparing but powerful when they needed to be for the right reasons. Clay says I'm on screen. Clay says I'm on screen. Craig says, hi, Bren, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Ed says, yo. Robert says, Doom. Jay says, Walgreens Sting is the best so far. Cloud says, outstanding pick so far. Must have been difficult list to compile. Yeah, especially with that super producer Rich. He is such a perfectionist that it was tough to get some of those choices past him. Greg says, Brandon, what are you going to do when you abandon the Dan Who Weekly? Many things, my friend. Sadly, but excitedly, you know. Posture is new and all that. Arturo says Doom. Justice and Collect says I got to go with Cap. The Fossil says we need Brandon. We need more Brandon Walgreens stories. Legion X says Doom. Jamie says probably go with Black Panther. See, Jamie, that's why you're my favorite, my friend. Ernie says still waiting to see which Spider-Man you choose. Damien says Maestro thoughts. Maestro is a cool figure, not in the top 20, but he is a cool figure, Damien. Paul McCarthy says Kang for me. Clay says 20th Cap. Stryden says I'll go with War Machine. Caleb says, hi, Brandon. What are you leaving? I just joined the stream, so I didn't hear.
We will explain all. We will explain all after our top 10.
Yes.
We're nearly there. We're nearly there.
Cloud says Brandon's rants are great because they're so organic. Christopher Allen says The Thing. Brandon, we will miss you and your energy in the Thursday stream, says Ultimate Carnage. Cheeky Monkey Kiara says best of luck, Brandon, with you and your ice cream. And then there's some other messages there. But okay, yes, back to top 20.
Okay, we appreciate that brief interlude.
Yes,
thank you very much to Chebwit for the 5 channel memberships. Greg, the Fossil, Iron Micah, Kirsty, Chrissy, sorry, and Cheeky Monkey Kiara all got one. And the Fossil also says, thanks to Rich, he's now wasted, thanks to all those mentions of options. Okay, let's get back to it. So we were at number 6. So we're about to get into our top 5 Marvel Legends of all time. Okay, let's go. Number 5. She only came out this year, people, but she is straight in there. She is our highest placed female Marvel Legends, and I'm sure nobody could really challenge it. Like, she is probably the best female Marvel Legend in regards to execution in plastic to what the character actually is. It's such an awkward character in the comics anyway. She's a woman with 6 arms. Now, with earlier in this list, we were celebrating innovation in the Legends line with Silk on that new double-jointed Shriek body. Now, they up the game and up the bar by giving us a female with not just 2, not just 4, but 6 double-jointed, pinless female arms. They give us weapons for all of the hands, as well as an interchangeable hand in a single box, and that box is a retro card. It ticks all the boxes of what a good Marvel Legend should be. Good value for money, good execution of the character, 6 double-jointed pinless arms and a female. Should be mind-blowing in 2022 for Marvel Legends. It needs to be celebrated. Yes, she only came out like 2 months ago, but she's already in there in the top 5 Marvel Legends.
Or next month if you're in America.
They're starting to get them. They're starting to get them. But anyway, I'll throw it to you, Rich. You've got it in your hand. You're the female Marvel Legends fan. You've been collecting years. Did you ever think we'd get to these heights?
I mean, I never thought we'd get a pinless, double-jointed spiral ever. I didn't think she was on their radar again. It was going to take so much more engineering to do 6 arms. So the fact that they've done her this year is absolutely brilliant. She's just a cracking figure. Comes with loads of accessories. I mean, for a line, it's a lot often said about Legends, it's reuse. But I think when Legends are done well, it doesn't have to be reused. I don't see any reuse on Spiral, and I don't know what else you can reuse her for. There's no other 6-armed females apart from a different color. Yeah, apart from a different coloured version of Spiral, I think is all you can do. So I think when, it's like other people have said, when Legends hit it out of the park, they really hit it out of the park. And I think of this year, this is the standout figure. It's not a deluxe figure. It's in a regular, it's in the retro wave of the X-Men line. And it just looks great. It is just such a great figure. Head sculpt to everything. It looks like Spiral. It looks like she's there doing a mystical magic mumbo jumbo in the Mojoverse. Just a cracking figure. She just makes me laugh
how she dances to teleport around.
Yeah, and she's got her body shop, but she does all the other things. She's got a cybernetic arm. She's got her the only thing I would say would be if you could take the helmet off. That's about the only improvement that they could do. But otherwise, just a great looking figure. It's whatever version of wherever you can count as Spiral, the animated TV show, the Marvel vs. Capcom games, the comic books for Freedom Force, whether she was in the Mojoverse, whether she was with the X-Men. This just looks like that. It's the ideal quintessential version of Spiral, and I think she would look great on your shelf. And if you haven't got it yet, I mean, if it hasn't come out where you are in the world, it should be coming out within the next month or so. So definitely, I would absolutely pick this one up. Just a great figure. Probably my figure of the year, I would say. Definitely high praise for this one. So I know it's only just come out and it's already in the top 5, but I think it's a worthy place for a figure like this.
Yeah, again, if you're not familiar with the character Spiral, just as an action figure fan and a Marvel fan, pick it up and learn about her because it'll be worth it. And in a year that's been sort of controversial in regards to prices going up constantly and the quality not quite matching the price hikes, this is a figure that came out and it was just on the retro card. No deluxe pricing here. It was just standard Marvel Legend pricing, and you got all of her weapons for all of her hands. So much plastic there. So well executed. Brandon, I'm sure you echo the same.
I completely agree. I think Rich said it best. I think this is above and beyond the best female legend we've ever had, and easily worthy of this top 5 spot for sure.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Okay, I'm just getting my prop for the next one, so I think I know what number 4 is, and this is going to take some work to convince people, okay? Okay, next up, number 4. So she is our highest placed female, by the way. So when it comes to female Marvel Legends, she's the best female Marvel Legend ever, according to this list on this day. If you disagree, let us know in the comments. Who's better? I'll be curious in regards to females. Okay, number 4. Now, just like Captain America was on the list right at the start, I felt like we needed some representation of Iron Man in this list. And for the 20 years that Hasbro and Toy Briz have been making Marvel Legends, this version of Iron Man has been in the zeitgeist within pop culture the most, with the cartoon, the original toy line back in the day. And like what Hasbro have done so well with the retro cards is recreate that and give tribute to that. And this figure is also on that really good modular Iron Man armor that people wanted. So this is a completely pinless modular Iron Man armor. And when this figure came out, people loved this figure, but they wanted it in the yellow. Everyone seen when they got this figure, they're like, yeah, it's great, but I want it in the bright yellow. That's what we got here. But so we got a completely pinless Iron Man body in the modular armor style in the brighter yellow. And then you pull it on the retro card and give us tons of unique accessories that we never seen before. The ones that go in the repulsor blast and the chest and the cannon. You get the old school Tony Stark head sculpt, multiple hands. Again, the retro card gives it a big tick as well for me. And then you add in the cannon as well. So it's like the game as well, what people remember. I just think as Iron Man throughout the 20 years of Legends, this has been in the pop culture the most. This is the one that people wanted, and it's finally here, and they gave it us the best way they could. So there we go. He's at number 4. Again, I may have fought a little bit hard for this one because I love Iron Man. I love that retro card, but he's worthy of conversation. Brandon, Rich, sorry, I could see you laughing. Challenge me. What do you hate it, right?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Legion X in the chat who said, when you said about the females, he said first appearance Storm. And I was thinking, oh, I bet Dan paid him to say that.
Oh, no, I wanted her on the list, by the way.
Yeah, that's why Rogue is on the list, because me and Dan argued about that first appearance Storm.
First appearance Storm was on my original list. But again, this was a compromise between 3 people. We all took some L's, okay? So that was an L on me. But I love that Storm.
And just for the record as well, I was a big advocate of giant size first appearance Storm, and also a big advocate for comic Ironheart as well.
Yeah, they were all in the conversation. We had a secret Zoom call, by the way, to try and put this list together. As I said, we didn't all agree. It was pretty hard.
And it was absolutely a free-for-all.
Yeah, like, it was a fight.
Dan and I would agree and team up on Rich. Then Rich and Dan would team up on me. And then Rich and I would team up on Dan. And then we would all have, like, it'd be like the Spider-Man memes, but with guns. Like, we were like this to each other. Like, you know, it was like, if you take out Rogue, then I have to take out this. Or if you take out Black Panther, then you have to take out this. So it was all in the good spirit of fun.
Well, as I said, I feel like I've been hyping this figure up a little bit. But I just think when you take a step back and look at Legends from a bird's eye view, within it debuted in 2002, we're here now in 2022. The line has lasted that long, and this has been the Iron Man that's been in pop culture the most, I think, in regards to the comics and merchandise and computer games, and it's now been recreated in the 6-inch form in probably the best way they can currently give us on the retro card with the accessories, give us that big cannon. I'm so glad, by the way, they gave us that cannon as a separate piece and they didn't ruin the look of the retro card, especially as retro cards are dying as well. They managed to like creep it through the gate. I know Rich hates it when I say that, but time will tell. But sorry, Rich, back to you. Iron Man. I know he probably wouldn't be even in your top 20, but can you understand why I think it's worthy of conversation?
I understand why, and I think I understand why this is really nostalgic. I think the 90s animated TV show has a lot to play for that. And again, the Marvel versus Capcom games, I think other things other than the comic book, like in terms of comic book wise, I would say the gold version you got in your hand is probably a better, like more accurate version than this like yellow, like kind of animated look. So it wouldn't be in my top 20. It wouldn't be in my top 20 list, but I can see why you've included it. But I think there are a lot of other Iron Man figures. Again, I think Iron Man is one of those figures that they tend to knock out the park when they do him. Like, I don't think there is like I wouldn't say there's a bad Iron Man figure being released in the last 2-3 years. Like next year, you've got the extremist Iron Man come in. I think like we had the Iron Man that was released this year in the controller wave. That's a great like pinless figure. That is a great looking figure as well. So I think Iron Man, there's a lot of options out there. Whereas like other, like with Cap or Thor or Hulk or Wolverine, you can pick like a definitive version. I think with Iron Man, there's a lot of different arguments you could be made for something else to be valid. But again, I get why you put that here, and I'm not gonna like shit on it.
No, of course. Again, this is something that I fought for here, because again, I'm biased towards Iron Man. I'm biased towards the retro card. You know, my collection itself is driven off nostalgia. So as a Marvel legend, this ticked all the boxes for me, and I think a lot of people are on the same boat as me. Not everyone, of course, but that's what makes these lists fun. And like we did with War Machine earlier, who like is basically the most ideal War Machine in a box with all the accessories. I did try and compare all the comic Iron Man figures and think, well, which one is the most rounded? And the other ones don't really come with as much options as we like to say. This one does, with the cannon, with the interchangeable heads. Just think 3 heads in there. You get the 3 sets of hands, 3 heads, and effect pieces that are unique to this Iron Man. So I did try and think, okay, which other comic Iron Man is better? But for what this represents, they absolutely nailed it. Brandon?
Yeah, I think
I know for the record, these two would not have this anywhere near their top 20.
Yeah,
but the channel's called Dan Who Reviews, okay? Yeah, so it lands.
This, just to be controversial, would not be in my top 50 favorite legends ever. This is not my Iron Man suit. This is not my color scheme. This is not my, all the rest of it. But
we spent so much time arguing over that stupid Ghost Rider that we let this one get through, Brandon. What did we do? What did we do?
It is true. But I think, like, fast forward 6 months, the new Iron Man comes out, which is the extremist Iron Man, and we're having a different conversation. That would probably slot into this. Well, it might not come up that high on the list for me here, but that would be my Iron Man that would make it into my top 20 personally. And so I really respect and understand where Dan's coming from about the cultural impact that this particular version of Iron Man had. Okay, yeah, it might have been 2 or 3 or 4 generations before mine because they're old men and I'm not, but it still holds up as being, I think a great Legends release when you look at it in isolation. And so therefore, does that justify it being on the list? Well, as he said, it's Dan Who Live. So
again, as I said, so
deserves to be here.
So as I said, I back Brandon and Rich up on this one. They wouldn't have this anywhere near the list. But for me, and for the reasons I collect, this figure ticks all the boxes. It genuinely does, with nostalgia, with the retro card, with the color palette they've chose, and the accessories, and just for me, I just love. And Iron Man's my favourite comic character. You've seen me with my Hall of Armour as well, and like I needed an Iron Man on this list. And when I was comparing them all, this is the pinless one. This is got the most sort of updated tech compared. So I really like the Invincible Iron Man as well. That's like the sort of more modern Tony Stark in the comics, sort of all new, all different era. But I do think this one is more broader known. But again, it's a generational thing. I get it. This is definitely a controversial. You knew there had to be a controversial pick in our list. This is it. So come at me. I'm all good. I'll fight for the retro cards. I'm just trying to hold on to retro cards as long as I can, people. It's all it is. But we're getting into our top 3. Okay? So I'm assuming you could probably guess what a couple of them are. But what takes the podium place? What is the bronze medal for best Marvel Legends ever. Well, there's one character. We said we wouldn't have multiple characters on this list, by the way.
This one, I think, definitely deserves the place that it's about to get.
For many reasons. Yes.
For many reasons. I think it is Marvel's most iconic character. I think it is Legends' best offering in terms of a 6-inch scale figure that has all of the latest and greatest that Hasbro has to offer. That in terms of accessories, in terms of articulation, in terms of fun factor, in terms of its availability, in terms of its price point. Like I think that this figure that you're about to show, I do not see what box this figure does not tick that does not easily justify it being definitely in the top 20, absolutely in the top 10. In my opinion, a no-brainer to be in the top 3.
Again,
I think Arachnophobes would like
yeah, no, they clearly wouldn't. Let's get into it. So, taking the bronze medal in the best Marvel Legends ever, it is Peter Parker Spider-Man. Now, like Brandon said, this is many reasons. And again, I am sure there are a lot of people screaming at the screen right now, this isn't the best version. That's absolutely fine. We're not saying you're wrong. We're not saying we're right. But on this day, this is our list. Tomorrow it may change, but this guy would still be in. If I wrote another list tomorrow, this guy would still be super high for many of the reasons like Brandon said. The most iconic character. Thank you very much, Northern Nomad. I'll pause for a second. I'll compose myself.
Northern Nomad donated $10. Best Marvel Legends. EEVVVAAA. LOL open mouth smile
like
tears of joy rolling on the floor.
Hank's on the
laughing,
3.
open mouth,
Yes, he made it.
heart okay sign.
Thank you, Northern Nomad. Perfect timing. Hellfire Hank made it a top 3 Marvel Legends of all time. He just put best Marvel Legends ever. Maybe he just likes the way I say it. He always take the piss out the way I speak. Bloody Northern Nomad. Go and lock yourself out your condo again, for God's sake. Right, okay. No, I love him really. Thanks, Dave. Right, okay. Back to Spider-Man. So, yes, most iconic Marvel character in regards to, like, pop culture. If you go and ask... If you went and asked 100 people of the general public to name a Marvel character... If we were playing Family Fortunes right now, I think Spider-Man would be number 1. It'd be like, ding, ding, ding. He's the number 1 top choice answer. So when it comes to this list, the Spider-Man needed to be in there. And this figure, it's not just about the character. It's about, we're celebrating 20 years of a line. And this figure is celebrating innovation. It's completely pinless, using the most updated technology currently available to the line. It's an upgrade to a beloved, like the retro version was beloved. That would have been in there if this didn't exist. But this is the upgrade to the retro, not only because it's pinless, you've got the added articulation, you've got the options with the interchangeable heads, you've got the free hands as well, the free hands that you want. And yeah, just as a representation of Spider-Man, like, yes, you may prefer a different version of Spider-Man, but for the version of Spider-Man this is representing, like a more modernized, generic sort of adult Peter Parker, this is a mind's eye all day long. Like, this is my favorite Spider-Man in my collection, and he had to be in the list. Rich, Spider-Man?
Yeah, I would say it's the best version of Spider-Man. Like, I think people in the chat are saying it is the amazing fantasy version of Spider-Man is also a great figure. I think this year we've had a run of good Spider-Man figures, but I think this one, with all the extra articulation, with all the different hands, with the alternate Peter Parker head, it just works as a modern day representation of Spider-Man. This is the best version of that, and it's a great figure. Again, I think Spinnerette is underrated. She's also a great use of the Shriek body, but she's a lesser known version of Mary Jane, not your ideal version of Mary Jane. But this version of Spider-Man is on my shelf. This is my version of Spider-Man that I'm using, and it's a great figure. So yeah, definitely worthy of a top 3 place.
And like Rich said, like a lot of people quite rightly are saying that their favourite's the 60th anniversary body, and obviously a lot of people love that reuse on the Amazing Spider-Man and even the recent cel shaded animated Spider-Man that came on the retro card. All great Spider-Man figures. Like, this year, I'm doing a top 10 Spider-Man figures. We have been spoiled in the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man. You have plenty of options when it comes to what version of Spider-Man you want on your shelf. But this is our list on our day, and this is the version we prefer. But again, if you were doing your list and you replaced this with the 60th anniversary one, it would be hard for us to challenge that. But this is our mind's eye of Spider-Man. Like, again, I appreciate and respect what the 60th anniversary Spider-Man is, but I weren't reading comics in the 60s because I didn't exist. Do you know, like, I was born late 80s, raised in the 90s, 2000s. This more modernised look for Spider-Man is my mind's eye of Spider-Man. So it's the one I gravitate towards the most. Even the unmasked heads has the new digital face printing tech, the pinless tech. This is the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man for me. For me. Brandon, is it for you?
Yes, and as I said at the beginning, this is definitive, not just for the character, but for what a Marvel Legend is and can be. You've got the 3 pairs of hands, you've got the 2 sets of heads. Exactly what you would want in terms of accessories for a Spider-Man character. Sure, okay, we could sit here all dilly day long about more hands and more this that we'd like, but as a base offering for exactly what you need as an essential, that is this. When you then look at the articulation and the deco scheme, like with from the toes to the knees to the drop-down legs, the diaphragm joint, the ab crunch, plus the ball joint at the neck, like to me it's a no-brainer. Like this is the most posable and most fun figure to pose of the entire 20-year library, in my opinion. This is the figure that will never get old posing for me at this point in time, until they do something that is even better than this, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I also think that it's the definitive version of Peter. I love that blue. Personally, I love that dark, deeper blue. And I love this thing. I think, and like you say, the character's popularity, their anniversary this year, this was the perfect time to bring out what is, in my opinion, the definitive 6-inch Marvel Legend.
Spider-Man is a lot of people's gateway into Marvel itself in general. Do you know, like, not everyone, like, that's the mad thing about society, like, within the last couple of decades, is like, there's not just one avenue in to these brands that we love. Like, there's comics, there's movies, there's cartoons, there's toys, and people find their gateway in via all these different means, and Spider-Man's in every single one of them. Like, he is an A-tier Marvel character, undoubtedly.
What was the first Marvel thing you were ever exposed to, Dan?
Probably the cartoons.
The
that I can remember.
Fox one, yeah.
Yeah, that I can remember.
What about you, Brandon?
Probably Spider-Man or X-Men. Probably the animated shows.
Yeah, and mine was the same. It was the Spider-Man is Amazing Friends. That was the first one I saw. So there you go. Your theory works, Dan.
I told you. That's what I'm saying. He is the gateway from many different things. Whether you had the toys or watched the cartoons, or
I think that's also our age demographic.
But again, Marvel Legends.
My nephew would probably say Iron Man, and I mean, kid was freaking born in 2008.
But yeah, exactly. But again, Marvel. This list is celebrating top 20 Marvel Legends ever. There you go. That was for Northern Nomad. And within that 20 years, we want to celebrate innovation as well, of how far the line has come. And this figure, again, is utilizing all the enhancements and the newest technology they could use to give us a great representation of the figure. Like, it makes me excited about what's next. Like, if this is how good Spider-Man is now, what is the Spider-Man of 2 or 3 years going to look like? Like, the only way is up, right? So, it just means we're being spoiled. Like, when Legends hit, they hit right.
Dan, who? Sorry to interrupt you, but 200 viewers, Dan, who? Flash your lights for Brandon for the last time.
There you go, for last time, Brandon. We're flashing some lights. There we go. Let's flash some lights. Sorry if anyone out there is going to have a seizure now, but there you go. So we're not going anywhere just yet. We're nearly there, people. We're nearly there. Right, there you go. Thank you very much. People are here for the top 3. That's why. But I'm sure people could argue and challenge this, which is absolutely fair game. We are not saying you have to agree with us.
It's not fair game. This is it, and it is it because we said so. And if you're not on board, well,
Brandon can say this because he's off next week, and then I have to deal. Then I have to deal with everyone. But okay, we've said enough about Spider-Man. This is our
top 2 aren't obvious.
Yeah, the top 2 should be easy, okay? But it's which order? Which order do we put?
Well, it's Batman and Superman.
Right, number 2, best Marvel Legends ever. And again, this is a little bit unfair, but
and I just want to say before we get to this, I did not agree with this top 2.
Yeah.
I was the only holdout from this.
Yeah, and we'll come to that in a second. But okay. Top 2. Now, again, it's a little bit unfair, but our list was basically just comics. So whether it was deluxe, Build-A-Figure, or a HasLab, as long as it was a representation of a comic character in Marvel Legends form,
Come on, let's go.
it was
They
fair
know what it
game.
is. They can feel it. They
So
can
at
sense
number
it.
2 is, of course, the Sentinel. And, like, what can I say? Like, the Sentinel is epic. Like, what I love about a collection is scale's so important to me. Like, you know me, the 1/12 scale is my scale. I love world building. I love everything fitting in theme and looking like they're all part of the same world. So having a Sentinel that actually looks like it's in scale with your regular Marvel Legends figures is just epic. So, like, again, whether or not you like the HasLab concept, that's a different conversation. But let's just talk about the product that they made. I think they nailed it. I never had any issues with my knees before anyone says, but this is the point where I throw it to Rich because he didn't want the Sentinel at number 2. Throw it to you, Rich.
So I didn't think it was fair to put 2 HasLab. I know Dan said to ignore that, but I didn't think it was fair to put 2 HasLabs at 1 and 2 when we are celebrating Marvel Legends. And Marvel Legends at its core is a 6-inch line. So I like Sentinel and Galactus both would have made my top 20, even in a list of all females. They would have said, "Oh, shut up again! Why bother? Who gives a shit? I didn't think these top 2 were what they should be. Fuck you, Mike."
Spider-Man created all articulation for generations. Without him, you would NT have articulated lines like now. Great pick. I'm shocked that AF animated beat him cos grip.
Mike has got the best timing when it comes to these live streams. He does it every week, but we love you, Mike. He says, Brandon, great, good luck in what you do. Spider-Man created all articulation for generations. Without him, you wouldn't have articulation lines like now. Great pick. I'm shocked the Amazing Fantasy or the animated beat him cause grip, But yeah, thank you very much, Mike. Perfect timing as always. You're just waiting for Rich to speak. But like Rich was saying, like he didn't think it was fair for two HasLabs. Now, let me say my thought process was we're celebrating 20 years of Marvel Legends and what the best is. What's like the highest potential of what Marvel Legends could be. And these HasLabs have got to be there. They've got to be talked about. Now, it would be great if they weren't HasLabs all the time. Like if they had just put this Sentinel on Hasbro Pulse, I'm sure people would have brought it. So it's not like I'm advocate for the HasLab or I'm a fan of the concept. I'm a fan of getting great product. That's what I'm a fan of. And if this is the avenue you get it, then again, that's my choice to support it. But we're celebrating the potential. What's the peak of Marvel Legends? And no one can argue. Well, you can argue, and that's what's fun. But for me, in my mind, I look around at all my other figures and I'm like, well, they just don't beat the HasLabs. But again, it is sort of an unfair comparison, but we're talking about the line as a whole. What is the best 2 figures? For me, it's the HasLabs, and Sentinel is at number 2. Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I agree with you, man, for sure. I think that our only criteria for this was Marvel Legends comic figures. And we've stuck to that, and I think that HasLab counts to that. And I think that, the knees thing, I don't really pay much attention to. My knees were fine. And
mine were fine as well, by the way. So no issue.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it overall, at the time, this was the best figure that had ever come out from Marvel Legends under the Marvel Legends brand. I think it is still phenomenal in how it holds up, the detail, the level of articulation that it has, the fun factor that it brings, the scaling, the lights, all of it. And I think that it could only be bested by the number 1 figure.
Considering how expensive it is, it's a figure that I wish I brought more of. Do you know what I mean?
And I mean, some of the chat comments are a little bit not I disagree with them, but like it's a little bit taking it too seriously, I think, in a way. Yeah. Like, this I think is just like, okay, this is a $400 figure versus, a $30 figure like Spider-Man before it. But like,
we're just using this list to celebrate the line of Legends.
I think it justifies it. It justifies that difference.
We're at the end of 2022, and throughout the whole of the year, we've been celebrating 20 years of Marvel Legends, okay? So this list is just a little bit of fun to sort of celebrate how far the line has come. And I think the HasLabs, like, yes, it's a bit of an unfair comparison to compare them to regular figures. Of course it is. Of course it is. We're not idiots, but we're celebrating the line as a whole and what it can achieve and what the potential is and what the heights are. And the HasLabs are there. They're there. And like Brandon said, the only one that could beat the Sentinel was this year's HasLab. He's right behind me. It's Galactus. Galactus, in my opinion, as a lover of the Marvel Legends line, I know people mistake it for love for Hasbro. It's not about Hasbro. It's a love for Marvel and my attachment, and I just think the Legends is great. Galactus is undoubtedly the best Marvel Legends ever, in my opinion.
And in my opinion too, for me, like, sorry, but I don't know any other company, right, that gives in the way that they give what we get, right? Like, we just went through 20 figures that are some of the best figures in 6-inch scale that you could get at that price point. Well, I'm sorry, I do not know any other company that has achieved that at that level, right? There just isn't, in my opinion. Like, that's no disrespect to other companies. I just think one stands head and shoulders above the rest, and I think that is no better represented than with this figure right here. Look, it's almost as big as Dan.
So
the layout features are amazing. The articulation is amazing. The scaling is amazing. The fun factor is there. Look at all of the different head pieces that fit in. Like, the innovation of how that came to be is amazing. Like, it just is. It's just the pinnacle of what can be done at that scale.
He's number one, and he doesn't give a shit what you say.
Know.
There you go. Rich, Galactus at number one. Like, I know you were obviously a little bit hesitant with Sentinel, but Galactus is the best Marvel Legend ever. When we take away price and all of that, when we just look at the figure for what it is, it's got.
I would agree. Yeah, like, Galactus was on my number one. That was number one on my list as well. I think it is the best figure on there. I wouldn't have put Sentinel as high up as it was. Like, I just wouldn't have done this as a 1-2. But I agree with Galactus. I agree with what you guys saying. And yeah, it is like just a great figure. But obviously, it comes down to, like, it's not a 6-inch scale. It's a lot more money. It's a HasLab exclusive. There's a lot of things around this apart, but when you break it down to just being a figure, it is definitely the best Marvel Legend. But I think there's a lot of other stuff which I think a lot of other people are not going to agree with, and that's why I didn't think these should be 1 and 2. And the chat is kind of like proved me right now.
No,
but,
for the record, it's not like I didn't expect the chat to think the HasLabs being 1 and 2 were unfair. I completely get it. I completely get how it's an unfair comparison compared to regular priced figures and stuff like that. Absolutely agree with you. However, the channel's called Dan Who Reviews, and this is what I wanted at 1 and 2, because I think they're the best 2 Marvel Legends, right? But I agree it's an unfair comparison in regards to the price. They should be the best 2 for the price you pay, but they are the best 2. So
completely agree. I was just thinking those exact same words, so I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, like, it's just as simple as that. We're celebrating 20 years of Legends, and we got this year. Like, we got Galactus this year, and this is like Brandon said, the pinnacle of what Legends can be. Like, in regards to the scale, and also, like, the character design is so important. Like, it's so important for our figures to be accurate to what our mind's eye is and what we see on the comic page or the TV screen, whatever it is we want our figure to be. And this Galactus, like, it's like an amalgamation of it's hard to pinpoint what exact version of Galactus it is, but no one looks at it and goes, oh, hang on, that's not right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just fits the Marvel Legends aesthetic really well. And like you said, you've got the different faceplates, you've got your options, and it's just an imposing collectible that is not going to lose value over time. Let's be honest. Like, so it's pride and joy. It's the piece that if someone comes in my little display room, people ask me who that is. And firstly, I get mad at them for not knowing who Galactus is, but then I compose myself and explain to them who he is and what the figure is. But yeah, I wish Hasbro would do more bigger scaled items and stuff without the HasLab concept. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like saying yes, HasLab is great. I don't think it's needed for certain figures. But yeah, Galactus is number 1 undoubtedly, and there you go. There it is. There you go. That's number 1. Woo! We got there in the end.
Woohoo!
We'll do this again next week, and the list will be different as well, depending on our moods. No, we won't really. We'll never do this list again. We did that today because it's Brandon's very, very last show. And I know we're running a little bit late, but hopefully you've still got 15, 20 minutes. You all right, yeah? You need to go anywhere? We can run late for Brandon's show. Okay, people, thank you so much for sticking with us for that. Now it's a free-for-all. This is Brandon's last show now. So let's just enjoy ourselves for the last 20 minutes. We're going to jump to the chat, read out some comments. Does anyone have anything other than the Galactus at number 1? When you take away price and stuff, when you just think, okay, subjectively, look at the Legends, each figure as a separate thing, a separate entity, is what's better than Galactus? Like, I'm curious. Like, not saying I'm right, not saying you're wrong. I'm genuinely curious. But I'll jump to the chat for the last 20 minutes here. You're on mute, Brandon. You're on mute.
My bad. Just before we jump to the chat, can we go to Hero Collection's Instagram while I post this live for everybody?
This makes me sad.
Last time.
Because I was trying to show you guys this earlier, but no one picked up my video call before the stream because you were both busy having dinner or something.
Just real quick, point out a few things from the chat. None of us have Fin Fan Foom, so it was unfair for us to put him in a list when none of us have actually had hands-on Fin Fan Foom. So if you want him,
Fin Fan Foom was on our first top 20, and then we were like, if none of us have got it, it can't be on this. So Fin Fan Foom was one of the first ones that went, unfortunately.
Yeah, just because we don't have it, it's unfair to talk about something we don't have. It's stupid. I hate when people put stuff in their
Dragon
list.
Man, because that's an ugly.
Dragon Man's not technically Marvel Legends either.
That's why we excluded Dragon Man, because he was on the Fantastic Four line rather than the Marvel Legends card.
Yeah. He's also an ugly figure.
No, he's not.
No, Dragon Man's great. Dragon Man's great, but he's not Marvel Legends. Fin Fan Foom is a build a figure over 2 waves, undoubtedly an imposing, great-looking figure, but none of us had it. So I felt it was unfair for us to talk about a figure we don't have, going, oh, it looks great, but we don't know if it is or not. So that's fair game as well. Obviously, Daredevil is also on the same Spider-Man body mold. He's a great figure, but again, we don't want to... If you'll notice in that list... We picked the one. We never had the same character twice. We tried to highlight great innovation within the years of Marvel Legends with better body molds and stuff like that. So we did try. We knew this list wouldn't please everyone, but again, we didn't want it to. We wanted it to incite conversation. So hopefully we give you at least a little bit of insight in our thought process. But trust me when I say, me, Brandon, and Rich, if we were doing a separate list ourselves, they'd be different. This list was a compromise for a little bit of fun for Brandon's last stream, so hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. Let me jump over to Hero Collection.
And everyone in the comments, you're all sitting on YouTube. You've all got your own channels out there. You can just a video away from putting your own top 20 out for everyone to scream at you and tell you how shit you are as well. It's always a fun.
Is that what they're saying? We just say we're all shit. Oh, wow. Never mind. Oh, wow. There you go. I'm on Hero Collections.
It's going.
Okay, tell me when. I'll give it a refresh.
There you go.
Okay. Can I refresh it? Giving it a refresh. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, I need to blow that up. Oh, I can't get it bigger. People, go to Hero.collections.
Oh, it doesn't show you the caption either, does it?
No. Let me see if I can get it on the web. One sec. Let me see if I can get it on the web. What a tribute. What a tribute.
The last post for me of 2022 as well.
Oh, look at that. Hank's part of the band. I'm going to try and get it on the web and see if I can show it bigger. Instagram. Hero. Hopefully I don't crash the screen doing this, but it should be fine. Should be fine. Everyone have faith. Okay. Oh, okay. I can read the caption now. The caption reads, while that's up, it says, you know the show starts when the man says, pow, Dan who, Brandon, man so handsome. What Marvel Legends and you know who has them. Tune in, it's 8 o'clock. He doesn't write all that. He says, after 125 shows of the Dan Who Live, it's the end of an era. Has truly been an amazing run. I'm grateful to my mentor and our leader Dan Who and most super producer displayed once. And the greatest hype man ever, Cool Toys UK. Shout out Hill Phones, by the way. He is the man behind the scenes. That's for some reason he's gone camera shy. I don't know why these days, but he's always there in our conversations. He's the 4th member of this group that no one ever sees. But for his friendship and support over the last few years, the Who crew is a unique part of the community, and Thursday nights are a special time for us all to enjoy the hobby we love. I can honestly say that, hand on heart, that being Dan's co-host has been personally highlight of the entire time with action figures.
Eric Alfred Abel donated $5. Cheers and let's go, Brandon.
Cheers and let's go, Brandon. Thank you very much, Eric Alfred Abel. Much appreciated. And finally, Brandon says, thank you to all who support along with the Who Crew, and long live the Who Crew. That is very, very nice, Brandon. Very, very nice. You're going to be missed, mate. You're going to be missed.
No, it's sad. What the heck?
It's weird now as we're coming into the end of the show. I'm like, shit, do we end? Do we just keep do we keep going and it never ends? No, honestly, 125 weeks, crazy. When I first started this, right, if you're going back to watch episode 1 or 2, I'm literally sat in my garage because Amanda hated the idea of me streaming. She just didn't get it. She didn't understand what I was going on. She's out of it when it comes to technology and stuff. And I'm literally in my garage going to Brandon, I don't know if this is going to go past week 3. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it did, and like, I'm so glad it did, because it started off with just you and me talking Marvel Legends, and then Rich got involved with his magic, helping us put that extra sparkle to the show, and thankfully he did. Here's the real success story of this show, because I always wanted it to be a topic. I knew we'd always go off on tangents and stuff, but I always wanted it to be a topic. I wanted it to be a show that could be enjoyed for the people that weren't here live, because I watch a lot of live streams, and some live streams I feel like if you're not there, you miss out on the jokes, and you just miss out on what's going on, and you can't be involved. Where I feel like our streams, you can still enjoy it after the fact and get involved in the comments or whatever. And I don't know, it's been a lot of fun, my friend, and you're gonna leave a gap that will not be filled. I've had people message me like going, "Who's the next co-host? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?"
Just as a last final point, right? You love
in the grave.
I wasn't even. Listen. You had not even put me 6 inches under the ground yet, and we're already hitting this man up trying to replace me. Listen, for as much as I love the extended Who Crew, nobody for love nor money could ever fill the shoes or the chemistry that the 3 or 4 of us have had. Right? Like, nobody. You bunch of vultures. But I just had to get that off my chest and on the record for the sake of it, because
Brandon, you'll always be my Kerry Katona. Whoever comes along next is Jenny Frost forever, right? I'll be giving them the side eye every week. Don't worry.
That's what I love to hear. That is exactly what I love to hear.
Just to say publicly why people are here, I haven't got a replacement in mind or lined up ready to go. I think for the foreseeable future, Rich is forever the super producer, by the way. Rich is not jumping in the spot of co-host. Rich is always going to be the super producer. He will join when he can. He'll work his magic behind the scenes. But I think for the time being, I'm just going to have rotating guests for a while and just sort of see what goes on. So maybe people can use that as an audition. I don't know. But you know me, I don't really want to go solo. Like, I prefer the conversational format. You know I love to talk, but I feel like an idiot when I talk to myself. So I definitely want to have guests on a stream. So I think if you want to potentially, if you're available, first of all, you got to be available on a Thursday at 8 o'clock. Like, with the consistency is king, by the way, on this channel. 125 weeks, we've not missed a week. Yes, we change the day occasionally depending on the news, but most of the time we're here at 8 o'clock on a Thursday UK time. So firstly, you got to be available then. So yeah, hit me up if you want to be a guest on the show, but please support the channel. Do you know what I mean? If you hit me up and you're not a channel member, then I'll be like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Support the channel that you want to be on. It's such a simple concept. But let me just, I just need to send a message real quick.
Most people already hitting him up, being like, "I want to join."
I want to join.
No, but Brandon gets it though. Brandon doesn't want the show to die. Brandon wants it to continue.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the thing. Like I said, that caption I used to just really sum up and kind of put a last word to it. But long live the Who Crew, man. 125 weeks is solid. Like that is a solid round, strong number that also satisfies my OCD wherever weight is, and you know it to have done that, like, to think where we started, right? It has been an amazing journey, like amazing journey. And what I said on there about it being the personal highlight of my entire time with action figures, like, I don't say that lightly. I mean that hand on heart, honorably. Like, and I know Rich is laughing, but he knows I mean it deadly seriously.
Did you just get my message?
I just saw an email come up on my thing.
Read the email. Let me just get a drink. So for the people that know, I've just sent Brandon the package. We'll let California Red Devil Super Chat come up while Brandon figures that out. But yeah, check your email, Brandon. There's a gift. There's a gift from the Who crew you were just talking so highly about, and that is one of the reasons why we speak very highly of this this community we've built here. I'm definitely losing my voice now. I might have to stop the show for a while, to be fair, if I've lost my voice. But yeah, I do need to figure out what I'm doing for the next next couple of weeks. So you can hit me up, people, if you want. But again, you've got to make sure you're supporting the channel and whatnot. But Brandon is here for the next 10 minutes, people. So if you've got any Streamlab donations, any super chats, anything you want to say, please say it now. California Red Devil with the super chat. I'll let Friday read that. Thank you.
California Red Devil donated $4.99. Brandon, despite giving you a hard time sometimes, I always appreciate your perspective and you'll be missed. Silver lining, less Dragon Ball talk. Scissor.
Thank you very much, California Red Devil. You know I always appreciate you. He says, Brandon, despite giving you a hard time sometimes, I always appreciate your perspective and you'll be missed. Silver lining, less Dragon Ball talk. Well, he tried on occasion, but it never worked. So, yeah, Brandon, basically, I hit up some of the regulars of Legends and Liquor and the sort of tight-knit Who crew and said that I wanted to send you a nice little gift. Because full transparency, people, like, the super chats that go to the channel, you get 20%, 30% taken from YouTube, and then like 20% the taxman takes, do you know, like, and I don't get them for like a month after anyway. So Brandon and Rich have never asked for a penny ever. They work their magics just for the love of the community, and I appreciate them for that, because what I make on the channel is what helps me keep the channel alive, okay? So I appreciate that. So Brandon's never asked for a penny, so I wanted to make sure I send him a little thank you before he got out of here, and I won't disclose the amount I've just sent him, and obviously it's from the Who crew, Brandon, and but yeah, there you go. Thank you, my friend. You're on holiday soon, right? That will help.
Yeah, I mean, just
earlier on
I
this
need to
week.
leave next week, Brandon. Is that what he's happening?
earlier on in the week, Brandon sent me a message because he was in a shop and he was thinking about buying, I think Zombie Scarlet Witch, weren't it? And like you were hesitating, you're like, oh, I should have got it. And in my head, I'm fucking shouting, Brandon, please just buy the bloody figure. I'm about to send you a chunk load of money. For the record, I had an idea in mind of how much I wanted to send you, and like they doubled it. You know, like, so there's some very generous people. So there you go, nice little package.
Yeah, and I mean, to end that point, I was saying, like, I genuinely meant it. I wrote it on that post. I meant it as I was saying it just before you guys blew me away, but I meant it. That this has been the best thing ever. In, you know, ACBA is cool, getting pinless figures is cool, but like I've always said it, to share a thing that you are so passionate about and make friendships that are not just deep friendships but global friendships, people that we know and love all over the world. The community that Dan has come to create, people that I wake up every morning and would not really like, I would not know what day-to-day life now looks like without those people in it, because of what Dan has built and what we have built and what Rich has brought with his magic touch and what all of you have actually made possible for the fact that we're here, right? 125 weeks. Yeah, okay, Dan and I could have just sat here talking to nobody and we would have just kept doing that, but it wouldn't have been anywhere near as fun as what it's been with everybody that has come along the way doing that. Like I mentioned ACBA, I never would have got into ACBA if it wasn't for the encouragement and the support of everybody here. I never would have gotten into knowing as all the people that are here if it wasn't for Dan kicking down the door of the wider action figure community and saying, come along with this amazing ride, you're going to love it. And I've loved every minute of it. And I don't say this lightly, that there's only so much I can say about why we're doing this, why I'm going, and the easiest way to sum it up is because of a promotion at work that is going to be very demanding on me, and is because of big things happening behind the scenes in my personal life. But the run that we've had is just the best thing. The best thing we've ever done.
I know it's easy. For every show will say they're the best show, but I love what we do.
And sod that. You know, people said they wanted a rant, and I'm sure I could go on one, but sod that. This is a very special place, a very special people, and chief among those people are you guys. And you know, and I know sometimes I fall asleep because it's been a long week, and I know sometimes I'm paying 50% attention because I'm trying to figure out why I can't get Vegeta in the right pose that I'm trying to get him in, and I miss what we're saying.
It's like Goku.
But every single minute of everything we've done, and the people that have been here and supported us since the beginning, all the way through, that we've picked up along the way, like Thursday evenings will not be the same without it for me personally. But I will still be here, whether I'm lurking or whether I'm in the chat, still listening and still loving.
Look, the replay's always there. We're always trying to sneak in a Brandon reference just to make sure you're still listening whenever you can. But yeah, as I said, I'm not going anywhere. I need the channel to stay alive so I can keep buying Marvel Legends to talk about. Hasbro, I've got to update my shipping address with them soon. Do you know what I mean? New Year's coming.
And as far as that package goes, I mean, I'm excited to go back and watch the replay of my face.
Stryden with a super chat. Thank you very much.
Stryden donated $10. Thanks for everything, Brandon, and still waiting for that toy photography video in 2025. Lol, see you soon, grin winking face.
Thank you very much, Johnny. He says, thanks to everyone, Brandon, and still waiting for that toy photography video in 2025. LOL, see you soon. Yeah, you should probably mention as well that your YouTube is probably not going anywhere right now either.
Yeah, and I think that's probably been noticeable over the last couple of months, but exactly as Dan says, you know, the Heroverse will be pausing for the foreseeable future, again, for all the same reasons, you know, and that was one thing I really wanted to make clear on the record. You know, I'm not jumping ship to go and set up shop somewhere else and do my own thing and different things and so on. If I was doing what I was doing, this is the first place I would report for duty 5 minutes late every week, 100%. And you know, ACBA will continue because that's my lifeline, that's my bread and butter with what we do here. And that's my creativity, that's my outlet. So that will still go on over on Instagram. But, you know, and as well, I'm not dying, right? Just to put that out there, I am still here. You know, I will miss being on the front lines of these conversations, but my DMs are always open as much as I am awful with them, and will probably reply about a week and a half late, but I'm still here. So, you know, my door is always open.
And unfortunately as well, just to let people know, this ain't a gimmick. This ain't Brandon saying he's leaving and then in 4 weeks' time he's back on for a guest spot. Like, we won't see Brandon for a while on camera. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And I want to make people know, like, if we could continue doing it, trust me, we would. I'm not looking to replace Brandon by any means. I want to keep the show going, and I will keep it going. But it's like, as I said, it's a phase one of the Dan Who universe is come to a close, I think. But it's been a fun ride, and as I said, if I think fun's the main thing. I think people forget that. Like, why do we all collect, right? Like, we all collect because it's fun. We enjoy it. Like, people don't understand. If you're not in the hobby, you don't get it. But you enjoy the thrill of the chase, collecting things, getting the new things, building collections, building displays. Like, it's fun. And all I wanted was a place to share that. And, like, this has been the key to, like, when I look at the chat, yes, I see people's usernames, but I know their full names. I know their name. I know who they are. I know what they collect. And, like, a lot of people, Amanda always takes the piss out of me for saying community, and it is really cheesy. And don't get me wrong, we're not the only community. There's loads of little bubbles and niches and stuff like that, which is absolutely fine. But the one we've created is special. And if you're not in it, you don't get it. But you're welcome to get in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of them. If you are supporting the channel, then you know I will, like, reel you in, and you can be his part. Like, go and watch a Legends and Liquor, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? 16 guests at a time. No one else is doing that. No one else. Do you know, like, who out is more inclusive? There's some live streams out there and podcasts and whatever that are very much like, if you don't agree with us, you're the enemy, right? If you don't agree with us, we don't like you. I've never been that way. Like, yes, I share my thoughts, but if you don't agree with them, you're still welcome. You're still allowed to be here and have a conversation with us. But it's just, again, if you're not having fun, then something's wrong, and we're having fun. And it's going to be a little less fun without you, Brandon. But thank you so much for even saying yes week one, sticking with me during the Amanda nonsense, the Amanda isn't sure era. But 125 weeks. We're in our 3rd year, technically. It would have been 3 years in 2023. Profit with the super chat. Thank you so much.
Profit 924 donated $19.99. All the best. You're a good dude. See you around. Frogman's #1 fan.
Yeah. Frogman, there he is. The Who crew are behind me the whole time, by the way. You can't see them right now, but they've been behind me the whole time watching. They're lurking. The Who crew ain't going nowhere. Sorry, we're rambling on, and Rich probably wants to go to bed. Rich, how you doing? You all right?
I'm doing good. You will be missed, Brandon. You brought a lot. Like, we don't always agree on everything, but there's a lot of love, and honestly, just the best in whatever you're going to do next. And it's not like you said, it's not like you're dead. You're going to still be around. You'll still be in the community and still be in the chat. So, and you can come and judge whoever replaces you with me.
Absolutely. And just on that as well, just a huge thank you.
Just know whoever comes on next, Brandon will be DMing me with all comments about you, and I will be laughing at you.
And I will be that sign of approval somewhere. I'm sure it's in my contract that I have to sign off on all replacements. So
yeah,
you know,
as I said, for the I'm not filling the spot while it's still warm. Do you know what I mean? I think for the foreseeable future, I'm gonna have rotating guests. So if you do want to be a guest on a Thursday and want to talk some Legends, then please do hit me up. I want to keep this show less like Legends of Liquor. Legends of Liquor is a big open community. Everyone talks about new toys. I want to keep this show more formal, more on topic with the news, etc. And I can't have 18 people on at a time. But I will have a rotating guest. So if you do want to be on a Thursday, please hit me up. But yeah, we're not filling the co-host shoes anytime soon, that's for sure. Amanda's in the chat taking the piss. But there was a very era where Amanda did not have a clue what I was doing and did not support it at all. She was like, go and sit in the cold garage, talking too loud. Thankfully, I'm now in that home, but she still occasionally turns the Wi-Fi off. So,
And before she does, just one final community note. A massive thank you, as I just said, just to reiterate that for the 100th time. Huge thank you to you guys. Huge thank you to everybody in the chat. But also just I'm not going to be here to voice these 2 points. So I just want to say them and push them one last time, as I have done for 125 weeks. The first thing is representation matters. A huge thank you to Dan for letting me champion that for as long as I have, as loud as I have. And please don't forget it. Everybody in the chat, everybody that supports everything that we do here and all the conversations we have. And lastly, and I would argue more importantly, is respect and kindness, man. Like, these last few months in the community were turbulent at times, to say the least. But community is what always powers through. That love of what we do and that love we have for each other over what we do is what always shines through, even on the darkest days of collecting. So just keep those 2 words in mind. Love each other, support each other. A lot of talented, amazing, cool, epic people that we have here in this community. So just treasure each other, and most importantly, and I just said that, but most importantly, treasure these 2 as they steward everything for the next phase of Dan Who Live.
Like I was saying, fun is the key thing. As long as I'm having fun, I'm still here for sure. And I don't see any point of slowing down in the new year. There's still plenty to talk about, not just Legends, just collecting's fun. Like, it's been difficult as prices go up and you can't buy as much as we want, but the product's still great. There's still lots of great stuff out there that's worthy of celebration, and we're trying to keep you know me, like, I get put into that category of being the positive guy, but it's just a perspective. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, I choose to see the glass half full rather than half empty. If someone else chooses to see it half empty, that's on them. That's fine. I'm not saying they're not allowed to, but it's just not how I choose to see things. This is meant to be my fun escape, my hobby that I want to enjoy, so I look for the things in it I like. I think if you love something so much and you're just constantly nitpicking it and hating everything, do you really love it as much as you think you tell yourself? Do you know what I mean? It's a complicated one. But one last thing before we go, Brandon. I got a message from Michael, Bring Toys to Work, big support of the channel, and it's on video. So can you get the YouTube link up so you can hear this?
I got it up at the moment, so yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'm going to jump to that and me and Rich will sit awkwardly quiet for 2 minutes. But I do want to say, obviously, Bring Toys to Work, big support of the channel, so obviously allowing him. He couldn't be here live today to say these kind words, so he's sending you a message. So I'm going to play it now, okay?
Cool.
Okay. Over to Michael.
Brandon, my friend, I am so sorry that I will not be able to watch the stream today live and participate in the chat. But I didn't want that to be the reason that I didn't get to tell you what I would have told you in a super chat or just on the stream. So when I think of Hero.Collections, Brandon, I think of someone who is not afraid to speak their mind. I think of someone who respects others. I think of someone who is creative and passionate about their artistry. And I think of someone who has always stuck up for the little people who feel that they don't have a voice in this community. I wanted to thank you for being who you are. I wanted to thank you for being that light in very dark times that, with the pandemic and when things are, very negative in this community that we've experienced over the past year. Thank you for being that voice. Thank you for being an integral part of helping Dan build this network of positive collectors who I am very proud to call friends. You've been such a huge building block and a big foundation to what we call today, as many people call today, their refuge from the rest of society. So Brandon, you will be missed, but I know that you've got great things ahead of you, and you will approach your future endeavors with the utmost passion and creativity and respect and professionalism that you always do. You're a shining light in this community, and I am so grateful to call you my friend.
He's still going on my end. Hold on.
Need a lighter. No, you can be such a, but I can still feel you here.
Oh, Dan, you're on mute. Dan, they're saying you're on mute.
End.
Wait. They're saying we're on mute. Our audio is off apparently.
I can hear you. I was on mute. Sorry. I muted myself so I didn't interrupt Michael. I was saying I apologise for putting the chat on Michael's face. I didn't mean to, but I didn't want to restart the video either. My bad. Basically, you missed my beautiful singing with Rich. We were singing Goodbye by the Spice Girls, but because I don't want to get demonetized, so I can't play any emotional music. We also wanted to do a best bits of Brandon. We said this last week where it was just all the bits where Brandon weren't paying attention as his best bits. That would have been great, but again, there's over 300 odd hours of footage to go through, so hopefully we're all
too
good.
many of those types of clips to pick a top
so
10.
many, one from every week at least. But yeah, sorry people, my voice is going, so we're going to end it here for the very last time. Brandon, wherever your future journey takes you, where can the people continue to follow you and see you online?
As always, guys, Hero.Collections over on Instagram. The ACBA will long continue. My support of you guys will long continue. So one final thank you to you both for being here. And one big thank you to everybody who contributed to that amazing gift. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so grateful. And a big thank you to everybody that has tuned in for 125 weeks and been a part of it. It's really been an honor.
You will live on the channel via Frogman and via the old Brandon logo emoji. Ain't going nowhere. Fill that chat up with the old Brandon emoji, people. But yeah, as I said, please continue to follow Brandon on Hero.Collections. The ACBA ain't going to stop. So you can continue supporting that way. Rich, my friend, you're not leaving me, right? Please don't leave me as well.
You can find me here every Thursday. Well, most Thursdays, depending on when my voice is bad or not. But I'll be here singing a Spice Girls song on my own while Dan mutes himself for the foreseeable future.
I didn't do that on purpose, I promise. I didn't do that on purpose.
And you can find me on Instagram at Displayed Once. Like, I too, like Brandon, like everyone in the community, apart from Abnugler. Fuck you, Abnugler.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you to everyone supporting. Thank you for all the kind messages. And lastly, thank you, Brandon. Thank you for joining me on this mad journey, 125 episodes. It's been fun. It's been fun. It has definitely made this hobby more fun for me. Absolutely. You'll be missed, my friend. You'll be missed.
What's your highlight, Brandon? What's one thing? What's your highlight from your time here of all your episodes?
It's your newfound love for Frogman, right?
I would probably say Frogman. I would probably say I think all the recap streams. You know, when we've changed the day and we've been like fresh off the back of announcements and we're all just like steam is coming out of our ears in the best kind of way, that we're just so overexcited about everything that's going on. Like those moments of like pure joy. Like, okay, fine, 125 weeks, all of it has been pure joy. I agree, but like those moments of just absolute, like, you know, that stream where they revealed Gamerverse Miles, the Shield Agent 2-pack, and there was something else. I think the Skrull Army Builder as well. And that was like, I remember that stream, whenever that was like, this is just the best thing we've ever done. And I think all the times that Dan and I fake knowledge because of your amazing notes.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of knowledge, but not much. Not much without Rich.
Not as much as this guy right here.
Yeah, thankfully he ain't leaving, otherwise I'm fucked. Don't leave me, Rich. Don't leave me, Rich. Don't leave me. Right, we're going. We're gone. Bye-bye. Follow Brandon on hero.collections on Instagram. You can follow his journey there. It's been fun. But I'll be back. Maybe next week, maybe not. I will confirm. It's my birthday next week. I'm not too sure what I'm doing. But we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Can I burst into tears now? Is that okay?
You need the final word, Brandon. Come on, you got to pick a final word.
You know what? My final word is at Bring Toys to Work. That man is a majesty amongst men. He is a fantastic human being, the best of us all. So shout out to Bring Toys to Work. One final shout out from me on Dan Who Live. Love that man.
Brandon, we love you. We miss you. You go and